Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Triggering Chaos. I'm your host, Soul, and this is my co-host, M.
Yeah, co-hosting.
And today we have a very special treat. We have a special guest.
It's one of Soul's friends.
Indeed, would you like to introduce yourself, good sir?
Hello, I'm Ice Yamamoto. Pleasure to meet all of you and glad to be here.
Don't worry,
I
this will be the
actually
only time I ever
departed from my
referred to him as
ship.
sir.
Yeah. Departed from my ship for this.
Hey, don't worry. I'm pretty sure the others won't sink your ship
No, they flew that bitch into the sun.
again.
Yeah, again.
You sure Soul wasn't your navigator?
He's been the navigator sometimes,
I've been the
so he's
captain once
wrecked
or
it too.
twice.
Yeah, he's wrecked it too.
Okay, okay.
He's aware.
So today we're going to talk about the waste potential of Final Fantasy 15. Why start with 15? Guess we could.
Give me 1 second, because this is not cooperating again.
Do we have to restart?
No.
Infinite Tunnel.
The infinite tunnel of
Whee,
death.
it's all crashing.
New episode. Same old technical
There we
difficulties.
go.
There we
It
go.
happens.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 15, which was the first Final Fantasy game I played post. Well, I tried Final Fantasy 13, didn't like it, but it's the first Final Fantasy game I played and enjoyed post Final Fantasy 10, which was nearly the death of the franchise for me. Yes, I know it's a beloved game, but it nearly killed the franchise for me.
Yeah, that'll do it for you. I actually remember I was hyped for this game way back when it was called Final Fantasy 13 Versus.
Or was it Versus 13? I forget which order that name went in.
So do
It
I,
was-
but I know it was supposed to be like some connection
It
to Final
was
Fantasy 13.
yeah, it was 13 verses because the original trailer showed Noctis in different attire sitting on a throne full of weapons, and soldiers rushed in to shoot him, and he quickly dispatched every last one of them, and they all fell to the ground.
Yeah, I loved that trailer. It was
I
amazing.
wish they brought that trailer back. I enjoyed it so much.
I completely forgot that trailer.
Yep, that's when we first got the title versus 13.
That was definitely back when I did not care for Square Enix anymore. They had burned so many bridges with me. I just did not care.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of one of the longest creations standings they had for a Final Fantasy game. Because this game was originally supposed to be on the PS3.
Yes. And
PS2, actually.
Yes, PS2. That was what it was. It was supposed to be.
Really?
It used the same engine as Final Fantasy 13 for the PS2, the Crystal engine, which,
Oh shit! I forgot that was on too.
yeah,
Yes.
the Crystal engine. I'm just gonna say this was a giant mistake Square Enix invested in.
All the companies seem to be doing that nowadays.
Yeah.
Well, they made their own engine, and they tried also to run Final Fantasy 14 on it. That'll have fish there for 1.0.
Oh yeah, let's not go back to that. We don't have that much time, Em.
No, we don't. But 15 was their attempt at an open world Final Fantasy game.
Mm-hmm.
And they somewhat succeeded, but they forgot one of the key things about open world gameplay.
You need to fill the world.
Yeah,
there's gotta be a reason to explore. No matter they made that car handle so smoothly while driving, it was a delight to drive. You had nowhere to go.
It even had auto drive.
Yeah, which was nice, and it was. And well, they did the smart thing and filled it with CDs full of Final Fantasy soundtracks, and even the worst Final Fantasy game has a soundtrack deserving of awards.
Oh yeah, the
Indeed.
soundtrack, much like a lot of other Final Fantasy games, whether I liked it or not, was very well orchestrated.
Yes.
Yep.
Fun fact too. That car is an actual car, hence why it could receive very little damage.
Mm-hmm. They were not willing to damage it for the sake of we don't want to lose our sponsorship. This is something that happens sometimes with movies. Like it's very rare that you can see the sponsor.
Fast and Furious
Yes,
was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The only movie franchise I can think of where they will allow them to destroy the vehicle is the James Bond's franchise. They will let Bond destroy his Aston Martin dozens of times. They've actually made Aston Martins just for Bond so he can smash them. And I don't mean, hey, let's give him a model off the shop. No, they designed a model only for Bond. And only Bond will be able to have this car, and he can like sink it in the bottom of the river.
Yeah, well,
Thinking
that's one way to
about
go
the river,
about
get hit with a missile, get shot up.
And the thing is, the company also owns the Jaguar, so oftentimes they'll let the Jaguar be the bad guy's car and do the exact same shit to it.
Wait, Aston Martin was. I did not know this.
They're
it. Hey, we're educational, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, they're owned by the same parent company. I found this out from a podcast I was listening to.
Huh.
Imagine that.
Yeah. But enough about cars. Well, for now.
Well, let's take a peek into this world.
Yeah.
Oh my, did I forget this was at war?
Yeah.
Yes.
Sometimes the game forgets it is, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Yes, because this showed once and then it was gone.
Except for the occasional time we hear Imperials above us.
Yeah, that's just like one drop ship with a couple of mechs, and that's not much of a fight.
Yeah,
I mean, a couple of soldiers and a Magitech.
Yep.
Yeah.
The combat system in this game is also not turn-based anymore, which, while I lament the death of turn-based combat in Final Fantasy, this combat was enjoyable.
I think they should bring back the standard combat for RPGs, turn-based.
Fans don't want it, apparently. That's why 7 didn't bring it back.
Yeah, but every once in a while, I think something like this has to be done because you have to try something new, or you're just repeating yourself over and over and over again.
Yeah.
So for this to kind of really try and stretch itself out, was fine.
The combat was fine. I honestly will say part of the whole turn basis dying is mainly due to the head director of the Final Fantasy franchise.
Mm-hmm.
Nomura thinks that it is a bad design nowadays. So
yes, he's brought up statistics and fan responses, but it really feels like he's more trying to prove his point than find a point.
I think that's what he's going for, and I will say the games do tend to suffer because of it. Even 7, I enjoy 7, and I do enjoy the remake. But even this 7 remake has its flaws with the combat scheme.
I tried the demo for 7's combat and couldn't get past the demo in 7. It bored me so much. I had not enough, but too much control in the wrong areas. 15's combat, though, once they added in the DLC to let you control all party members, then I really liked it.
Yes, because it was sad that you could only use Noctis the entire time.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked Noctis. He handled very well.
At least with Noctis, you had the ability to use all the weapons. They didn't try to limit him because that's the character you're using. They let you use whatever you were comfortable with.
Yeah.
Yes.
The thing is, though, you barely have to do any fighting at 15 as well. Really only when the story makes you. And while that's nice, because sometimes you just don't want to have random encounters.
Yeah,
it does weaken the game, in my opinion.
I never liked random encounters. I understood why they were in the earlier games.
Mm-hmm.
Because limitations on the software and hardware at the time.
Yeah.
But
although that won't excuse Final Fantasy 1's ridiculous take one step half combat.
Yeah, that sometimes can be happening even because RNG is a bitch.
Well, that's why Legend of Dragoon actually had an issue with that, and it took it until it was ported to the PC through hacks, obviously, that actually corrected that game's problem with random encounters. It was set on a timer, but
the
timer changed or sped up or slowed down when you change directions from where you were walking. And since it's all random, the player and even the people that ROM hacked it couldn't even decipher how it worked.
Yeah, so that's not a solution, but the solution is also not having none at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this was really kind of
an
interesting combat because while it is kind of more the action adventure type swinging your sword and button timing, you could recover your magic by warping to a safe point that would pop up.
Yeah, you would be out of combat. You'd leave your friends to get their asses handed.
I've done that too many times.
See, guys,
but to be fair, you're the crown prince, and they're essentially your bodyguards. That's their job. It's still a dick move, but
except for
Prompto.
Job.
Oh yes, Prompto's just your friend who tagged along. We'll talk about him in a minute.
Actually, no, he is actually in the Kingsglaive.
He is, but he wasn't supposed to be.
Yeah, Prompto is actually not part of the guard for the group.
He becomes one.
Hey, he's still in there, so he can get screwed off too. Woo!
Essentially, he's an unpaid intern.
Yeah, put in the worst conditions.
I don't remember signing up for this.
But there's a story with him, and we'll talk about that later.
Yes. The story basically is there are 3 big nations. 2 of them are kind of at war. You're the crown prince of the one who just got his nation kind of bombarded, and your dad's dead.
Yeah.
You're off to your wedding. And then you're off to your wedding. I'm not making that up.
And somehow you're both late to your own wedding.
Speaking of relations.
This is just a small flow chart of the characters,
Mhm.
how they're related. It looks deep and integral, and it doesn't really impact the game almost at all.
There's only like 4, maybe 5 people on there that actually matter.
The way I look at this is imagine there's a fine banquet, and then you're only allowed to eat one plate of like the turkey.
And you're only allowed quarter of wine, nothing,
Yeah,
nothing
Yeah.
more.
yeah, yeah. You get to look at the entire rest of the banquet. It looks really well done. It's fancy. But when you walk around the dining room table and realize, oh, it's a stand-in. It's not even real.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest example of that was that frat reporter guy
Oh
who
yeah,
shows up, seems
Yes.
interestingly, first shows up and talks to you, and then is reduced to a basic quest giver.
yeah.
And
Here's the
Yes.
part of
frog
me,
lady.
yeah, part of me understands why,
Yeah.
because there's only so much you can do with the story, and he's not part of the main focus.
No.
So part of me understands why, and part of me is kind of like, this seems so interesting at the start, and he
Mhm.
seemed like a useful source of information, and then it just, hey, here's a quest, and then here's your reward.
Don't get me 10 bear butts. Basically, is what he boils down to.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's an issue where they have too many characters and they don't fully flesh them out in time.
no.
I
What
mean,
they
what
should have done, they could have done is remove a handful of characters and given their screen time to somebody else. Another example of one of the main party members, you get to bump into his sister a few times.
mhm.
I felt that could have been really interesting, but she only shows up like twice.
She shows up more in the Kingsglaive anime, which is like a 4 or 5 part anime that was showing the backgrounds of all 4 characters.
Yes, I totally forgot about that. I remember the Kingsglaive movie, but not the anime.
Yeah, I remember the movie. I forgot all about the anime.
I liked
Uh,
the anime. I thought they were generally good moments. That's why I remember it.
Well,
Basically,
it is good because it gives you more backstory to your band of merry men.
yes. The problem with this, and I'm going to quote somebody, I don't remember who I'm quoting from, but basically it's got WoW syndrome, where the game does not tell you the main story. Buy this book to find out the main story,
Yeah, pretty much.
which is
Yeah.
not good game development. It's not. Could you imagine that for a movie? You go into a movie, you watch it, you're confused for the 2 hours, and then someone outside going, "If you want the understanding, buy this entire comic series." Oh wait, that's a thing that's actually happens several times with movies.
There's another game that actually did that.
Oh,
Destiny. First Destiny, you had to download the app and go to the app to find out the story of the game, of the world, what happened,
oh
these enemy
yeah, when
types.
they first introduced it, I forgot about that.
Yeah, and
I'm
it breaks the immersion.
I feel like they're trying to do what the Souls franchise do with environmental storytelling, but they forgot to do any storytelling with the environment, so then they have to like staple them on at the end.
Yes,
Yeah, I mean,
and
they could have
that's
easily taken some of the parts from the anime and put it in flashbacks in the game.
Yeah.
yeah, that would actually work really
Or
well.
or even the most lazy of way of doing that, audio logs.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but there is a problem too, though, is that animated series came out after everything was already
Mhm.
said and done.
15's development is full of massive holes, and they definitely feel like Square Enix noticed those holes after they released it and realized, oh shit, we have to finish this bridge. Give me any plywood you had, and we'll just quickly nail it down.
yeah. Well, to be fair, when your
Yeah,
story changes that many times over
Hmm.
from the
yeah, it
PS2
was
to the
the
PS3, it did get released till the PS4.
yeah, late PS4, in
Yeah,
fact.
like the PS4 Pro was out at this point.
Yes, yes, it was.
So there are the reason it. How do I put this? This is one of the instances where too much production time kills you, in my opinion.
Yeah. It
Yes,
also is really that the head developer was also more interested in making, I believe he was also making Kingdom Hearts at the time.
yes, and
Yeah,
he
that'll do
watched a
too.
screenplay. He watched a screenplay while making this game.
Hmm.
He fell in love with the screenplay, told him to scrap everything they had for this game and to
Hmm.
remake it like this play he watched. Then 4 days later, after everything was said and done, he decided, that's stupid. Why did I think that? Go back to what we had. And they're like, sir, we already destroyed everything because you had to scrap that originally.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So they really had to put the squeeze and rush in on this game to even get it completed.
Hmm.
Hence why you'll see a lot of plot holes and things that just don't add up in the game as it goes on.
There's a
And like I
lot of
said, this is
jumps in time.
this is one of the curses of too long of production time, as
Yes.
opposed to some games not having enough.
Generally, too much production time is not a bad thing if you can stay focused on it.
If you're consistent with what you're working on, I don't argue that. If you're
But this
changing it so many
almost
times along the line,
pulled a Duke Nukem Forever in terms of development, in the sense of let's start something and then someone comes by next week going, let's start something else.
yeah, but Duke Nukem
Yeah.
also had the excuse that at least they were bought out by different people during each production.
Yes, that's why it has that excuse. 15 at
Yes.
least kept some of the major development team the entire time. There was some people who left and people who came back, but mostly it's people who were there and then left.
Mm-hmm.
But it stayed in-house the entire time. Although it almost didn't get released. There's so many behind-the-scenes train wrecks with this game, and it's really disappointing because what we got feels like a fantastic demo to the real Final Fantasy 15.
Yeah, I would have liked
Kind
to
of like
have
a
known.
tech demo.
Yeah,
Yeah, it feels more like Metal Gear Solid 5 Ground Zero. That's what this game feels like to me.
Yes.
yes.
Exactly. A tech demo to what was supposed to be released.
And I had just as much fun in 15 as I did in Ground Zeroes. It's just at the end, I still kind of wish there was more. Although we could also do what happened with Phantom Pain. It's wasted potential one day.
Yeah, we'll look into it. But for right now,
Oh, that's a whole discussion I could sit here and break down for hours.
let's
Yeah,
get
that's
into our stars.
So this is our main character,
Give me just 1
Noctis.
second. Just got to readjust the size a little bit.
Never bothered to remember his full name.
I forgot he had a last name.
All I know is I took one look at Noctis and realized you are trying to be an edgy boy, but I can see that golden heart behind your shirt, so you're going to fail at being an edgy boy, and you're just going to be the nicest boy who wants to be aloof.
Well, I was rereading this. I was looking at the pictures, and I was reading a little bit of Wikipedia to kind of refresh myself for all of this.
Mm.
And the way he set up well. He is a somewhat down to earth person.
Yeah.
But he realizes the responsibilities he's going to have to accept.
Mm-hmm.
So, in an odd sense, him being sort of off-putting kind of makes sense because he's looking at this as like, these are the people I'm going to have to lead. I can't just drop everything for one little incident, as harsh as that sounds.
He really doesn't want to. He feels like, out of all the Final Fantasy protagonists, the one who most would do that random side quest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean,
And I like that about him.
He does seem off-putting at times, but when someone generally needs help, he's willing to reach his hand out.
Yeah, and let's not forget another reason why he's partially that way is, if I remember correctly, I might be wrong here, which I think I'm right. He was very sickly in the beginning of the story, not the game story, but the story overall when he was a kid.
He was extremely sickly. He ended up getting healed, and his dad made him do normal kid stuff like get a summer job, go to school like normal school. Don't go to like a royal elite college and stuff like that. So he got both the silver spoon and the down to earth treatment, and it made him a very balanced person.
The other thing I also remember, Ice, you brought it up, is at his early age and going through the adventure, he wasn't wielding his full potential and magic power because of incidents in his past I don't fully remember.
That's because the king was killed, and
well, no, even before then, there was something else that came up.
Yeah, Lamia attacked him. I believe it was.
Yeah, Lamia. But then when the king was killed, you do have that. We'll get to that later in the story. But he did lose his magical prowess completely at one point.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Where it forced the player to actually use a machine gun instead of your weapons because they're not there.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's a good point of struggle for the character.
Yeah, it actually shows, hey, he has to overcome something that was never an issue before.
He, unlike many Final Fantasy characters, has character growth. There is a progression through this character. Not just in the Assault Member Return, but there is still some in the game.
Mm-hmm.
The only other character I can think of with any character growth in Final Fantasy is Cecil from 4. And there's a long development history between 4 and 15, and it really doesn't feel like many other characters have had any character growth. That's okay. Not every character needs to have growth, but it does feel kind of weird to me.
Well, I know people like it just because the first Final Fantasy had voices, but Titus, even though I don't really like him as a character, did have character growth from when you first meet him. By the time you a little bit over halfway through the game, he starts wising up as a character hey, there are things that I can't be how I was back then. I need to grow up.
Well, to be fair, for a character of growth and for it to have meaning to you, you at least have to either see where the character's coming from
Yeah,
or have some investment in said character.
I did not
Yes.
for Titus.
Yeah, that's because he was really annoying. I
Yeah.
will not deny that. But if you could hold off just long enough to get slightly past that halfway mark,
Yeah.
you see him start growing as a character, and he's like, the way I've been acting isn't really helpful to anyone, including myself.
Mm. Either way, it just basically says there's not very fun with character's growth.
Yeah,
No,
Noctis, I think, had the benefit of being both someone you could understand and
Mhm.
enjoy actually watching him progress.
Yes.
and he
And
actually breaks down.
oh
Mhm.
yes, he has emotional break points. He falls apart at some points, realistic points to fall apart
Yeah,
at too.
when he turns back and sees his kingdom burning into ashes, that what?
When he accidentally hits one of his best friends due to an illusion.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I forgot about that one.
When one of his best friends goes blind.
and even when he starts having those headaches, because
Mhm.
I forget what they're called in 15, but I'm gonna go with the normal term I use, summon.
Yes.
Oh god, yeah, that mess.
Yeah, I mean, you
Yeah.
think one of his merry friends had to get in his face, I'm like, dude, you got to snap out of this.
Yeah. And it was a good get out of the speech. Like, not this. I'm going to say this is probably the one of the best parts about 15. I don't have any complaints with Noctis. I feel like he's just in a bad game. Not a bad game, a disappointing game.
Mm-hmm.
That's not the first time I've heard that.
Mhm.
Another game I heard that was back on the GameCube. Star Fox Adventures was another game. Like, was a
Yeah, yeah.
Fox McCloud and Crystal were good characters, but in a bad game.
Yes, I can actually agree with that. That was a boring game.
All
It
right.
was the parts of Zelda you don't want.
Yeah, yeah, it really was.
So you may have us remember us mentioning Romeo and Juliet for the setup for this game originally.
Yes.
This is our Juliet.
I remember correctly, Luna Freya.
Yes.
Yes. The Oracle Lunafreya.
Yes.
She can see the future. They really under-explain everything about this character.
The only
She's in like 5 cutscenes and
I know she heals somebody and gives
and
a speech, and then they just kind of was like, poof.
the only
and
thing I
she
remember her being able to do was being able to talk to the summon somewhat, but that's about it.
yes. I
The
think
first cutscene, she is talking to somebody and heals somebody, and
yeah,
she tells them, the refugees, that we have to keep moving.
yeah. The scene that's most famous with her is she's summoning Leviathan to let Noctis speak to
Leviathan,
Leviathan. Yes.
Leviathan.
The mighty
Also, I
Leviathan.
do remember some people were pissed off that this is like the first game that they made Leviathan female, and I'm like, it's a giant sea serpent, people. It can be whatever the heck it wants.
I mean, does it really matter at this point? It's not like Shiva. Shiva has always been clearly a woman, even
Yes,
though the actual deity is
is a
male.
guy, and also not really associated with ice.
Yeah, but say she
Yeah,
meant more like
exactly.
spat fire and shit like that.
To my understanding, yes.
Yeah, I mean that's like a free. He's always been fire, but
It's just
you're
more of a
supposed to get in contact with the Jinn first, because a free clearly
yeah,
feels he's above everybody else.
yeah.
But
That's Leviathan. It's a giant sea serpent,
yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
and
turn the focus back
okay,
to Luna Freya for a moment.
yeah,
We'll talk about the summons later.
there's not much to talk about her. Unfortunately, she could have been interesting.
like
She
she's
she
part of that wasted potential.
Mm-hmm.
she and Noctis have a history, and they have a scrapbook they keep sending back and forth to each other to keep each other in contact. I'm
Oh,
like,
you made
oh,
me remember the little puppies. They were adorable.
yeah.
which
Look,
which made no sense.
it made no sense. It was cute. It is a thing like little friends could do. Like they were always going to get married, so they were always very cute around each other, and that's it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, to be fair, the dog teleporting to one or either of them was explained with magic, so I can accept that.
Oh,
And
no, the dogs themselves wasn't the issue.
it's just they
It
didn't do
it,
enough of it.
it
Like
was
I
yeah.
This
would
is
have
when
liked
they
like
could have
more.
introduced the flashbacks for a
Yeah,
lot of this story.
or just have more moments of those two being cute as kids would have been nice, just to establish that Noctis is doing this more than for political sense.
Mm-hmm.
He does love her.
Yeah, and she clearly loved him.
It's very hard to tell that at times. It almost feels like, all right, we need Nation A and Nation B need to be allies. So let's marry off my firstborn to your secondborn.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Here's the paperwork. Sign it. Let's go.
Yeah.
that's what it feels like. But when you look at the sub thing and read between the lines, oh, they're childhood friends and they do have a
The
relationship.
other
They
thing
do love her.
is this Orgo business was never fully explained either.
And she got royally shafted. There was
Oh.
supposed to be 4 more DLC. We didn't get hers.
Mm-hmm. We'll
Which
discuss that later down the road.
I'm okay with DLC being used to fill in gaps for a game because that's a different way of doing things. You can't really you can release DLC in a sense for a movie, but director's cuts are never that interesting in my opinion.
No.
They're really not. I mean, even look at Aliens. That
Oh
they
yeah,
added on I think 20 or 30 extra minutes, and all it was them playing cars and shooting more aliens with turrets. You cut that out. It didn't really matter. It didn't add anything to the story.
a
Yeah.
reason we cut this out. Like we didn't need another extra 20 minutes on the Millennium Falcon of C-3PO and Chewbacca playing that space chess.
Yeah, it's like you can get rid of that. That's needless.
Yeah,
You did
that
one
was
joke
pretty.
with it. It was a character establishing joke, and it let us know that Wookiees can rip droids apart.
Yep.
Perfectly done.
Mm-hmm.
We
But
didn't need.
the other thing she got shafted on, she was in there for like you said, like 5 scenes, and then she was just put down.
Yeah, she had like literally maybe 15 to 12 minutes of screen time, and then done.
Yeah.
And these aren't like next to each other. They're like 2 to 3 hours apart if you play the game game wants you to.
Yeah,
You might
Mhm.
forget her.
most people did.
I mean,
Yeah.
her major job in the game was to try and get that ring that's in her hand. You could probably just barely see it.
Yeah.
To Noctis, and that was
Yeah.
all she was important to in the game.
I mean, that ring is damn powerful. It's a good ring to have. I can understand what was so important, but she's less important than the MacGuffin. And I'm just going to say this. It feels like women in refrigerator syndrome.
Yeah.
Which
Like,
I want to say
how do you
not as
have an important?
severe, only because she does have some importance in the background, but in the game wise, pretty much.
she's only there for Noctis. She's only there for Noctis motivation, which is, can we please stop doing that?
Yeah, and you see it a lot of times, and it's always bad. I mean, even 10 fell to that with
Yeah.
Titus and Yuna. Yuna
Which
was
is
there to motivate Titus, and Titus was there to motivate Yuna.
which is really sad because Final Fantasy is also really well known for their powerful main female leads.
Yeah,
But ever since the 3D era, it feels like they kind of went backwards in my opinion. Except for 13. I don't like 13 as a game, but I like Lightning as a character.
Lightning. I call Lightning the female Cloud.
Yeah.
She had
Yeah,
the
you're not the
exact
first
same
person to say
attitude as
that.
Cloud. Yeah, she had the same exact attitude as Cloud, but I was okay with that because, like you just said, Final Fantasy is usually known for a strong female character. Like, there's
And
usually one.
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the 3 female characters that's prominent in the game. 2 of them are party members or guest party members, and they get fleshed out better than Lunafreya does, which sucks.
I mean, you could have made her
Yes.
a temporary party member for some of this to be like a party healer
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, when you were trying to get to Leviathan, that she could have been playable there.
Yeah.
Even if it's just for like 40 minutes. Give her something.
Well, it's just I was saying it goes back to the books. Where I'm like, they're doing the books back and forth in the very, selected cutscenes, and it's like, why aren't you two just telling each other where you are,
Mhm.
and the other could wait? Because if you go by the game's definition, when she leaves the city to get on the boat, I mean the desert area to get on the boat, you literally just got into the area she just left.
Yeah.
And it's like, wait, you two were talking to each other and you're not saying, hey, wait, I'm catching up to you, or
'Cause they-
hey, I'm gonna wait for you.
They never hint that, like, I think they might hint that they're being watched, but at the same time, take that risk.
And that was something it rubbed me wrong when I was playing the game.
Because
I'm
when
like,
I was playing it, I thought she was on the opposite side of the world until I found out through reading something like, oh, wait, I just missed her? Why, you sons of...
I figured it out actually on the first cutscene they showed her in. And all I did was look at the landscape. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm right here now.
Mm.
And that's when
I may have thought they were just reusing landscape because save resources.
that would usually be the smart move to do, but Soul can actually tell you when I'm playing games, I pay attention to a lot of things in
Yeah,
cutscenes.
he's
That's
more
fair.
observant than you am.
Oh, good. We need more. I'm not against that. But we should get on to the next few characters.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so next up is
Ignis.
a lot of people's favorite member of the party.
I've come up with a new recipe.
I just gave you that cookbook.
I know.
I love that comic so
I
much.
love the interaction with him and Noctis, of Noctis having a treat that he had as a kid,
Yeah.
but he couldn't remember where and what it was, and he's trying to recreate it based on input from Noctis.
And so, like, Ignis is the team cook, the driver, the advisor. He is team mom. He's the mom of the team.
Mm-hmm.
He's also deadly with that spear.
Spear and his
Yes.
twin daggers.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
I
he's
hate
just-
it. I hated fighting him in the Comrades DLC.
Oh yeah, that was not fun.
Yeah, he was a pain in the ass fight over everybody.
He's the one who keeps the team focused on the mission, well fed, well taken care of, make sure they stop to take breaks when needed, and he's a closest thing to the Alfred the team has.
Mm-hmm.
He even forced Noctis to drive the car, which I was like, awesome. He's forcing the character to do something.
Yes, one of my favorite scenes in one of the animes is Noctis takes lettuce off his burger, gives it to Gladio, and Ignis gives it back. It's like, eat your vegetables.
But it's scenes like that make them feel like
Yeah.
fleshed out characters. It's small details.
Noctis
Yes.
may be the prince, but Ignis's job is to help raise the prince. So he's pretty much the only person in the party who can tell Noctis, hey, knock that out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
he can slap him in the back of the head.
Yeah, Noctis respects him enough to go, I think this thinks this is a bad idea. Maybe it is.
But like I was saying, it's small things that make characters fleshed out. They don't need to waste hours upon hours of storytelling to get a
No.
character across.
And they don't need to sit you down going, okay, here, boys and girls, this is the relationship between these two characters. We won't show it, but we're just going to tell it to you. They show it to you.
Yeah, I mean, they could open up
Yeah.
and saying, like, this is the advisor, the other character's the bodyguard, and the other one is, like, the friend. And then they show small interactions to cement that. That would be
Yeah,
fine.
He makes Noctis help cook. There
Yeah.
are several times where you're at the cooking camping, and he goes, could you stir this for me while I go take care of other things? Also, what is Ignis's accent? I love it.
I
But
don't know.
It feels like he comes in and out of it every now and then.
It makes me sound like something formal, like formal British or something like that. But
Yeah, he feels like he's trying to be a stuffy British butler, but he's not. That's not actual way of talking.
mm-hmm.
I like that about him. I feel like it's actually just him trying to be more prim and proper.
Yeah, he is the most prim and proper of the group, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's
Oh,
more
yeah.
prim and proper than the prince.
Well, I mean, that was the upbringing of his family. As same with the bodyguard, quote unquote, because I know we're gonna go over that,
Mhm.
but they are raised to be the bodyguards of Noctis. So
Mhm.
this is also part of their
Family tradition.
repertoire. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Of like, hey, these are things you're gonna have to do too, because we're not always gonna be around to do these things.
Mm-hmm. And I like that about these characters. They're in the zone about their job, but they're also very much aware that we're kind of at war. If Noctis can't wipe his own ass and he's all alone, it's
What good
game
is
over.
he?
Yeah.
It's even worse than if he died in combat.
Yeah. And
So-
that's why I'll give it to I'll even give it to the dynamic of Tifa, Barrett, and Cloud in the Final Fantasy remake. They were
Yeah.
way more fleshed out. Like Cloud and Tifa clearly are shown as friends.
Yeah.
It wasn't like the original, which I like the original, but it was just like, oh well, they have some type of history together, but they just kind of seem like they're there.
Yeah. Here, it really does feel like they took that idea from 15 and like, let's re-add that to 7.
Yes, because it needed it, and I'm
Another
glad 15 did that.
Another
Yes.
minor big thing about this that you were able to do with these graphics is the facial expressions. I think really helps with that.
Yes.
Oh yes,
Because with
yes.
the blocks you had in 7, you weren't getting much across besides maybe a big face, wide open mouth, and big eyes for shock value.
Or certain movements of the
Mhm.
polygons.
Or the infamous, Popeye the shrug.
Yes, the infamous shrug,
But
and don't
here
forget
you
the
get
infamous leg workout.
Yeah, but with
Oh, yeah, the
15, you
squatting.
get the more subtle facial expressions to help convey emotion.
Yes.
Was it
and
100%? I'll give it that, but it was a far cry from being Popeye.
Yeah. One of my favorite things
Yes.
about Ignis, though, is at one point he gets blinded and the team has to basically baby him for a bit. And I like that dynamic that happens. He eventually does figure things out. They can still rely on his tactical mind
Mm-hmm.
because he's the thinker of the group. And eventually he becomes prolific as a blind fighter because he's got no choice but to.
Yeah.
You know, I kind of have a problem with that though.
Oh, it happens too fast.
No,
Oh,
dude already wearing glasses. He's already practically blind. Now you just sealed the deal.
as a guy who's pretty much blind with his glasses, you're pretty much right.
Yeah, I was just like, really, you just had to do that to him. You know, could you have just done one eye?
Yeah, yeah. Give him like a cool eye patch.
Exactly.
All
At least they
right.
never did the stupid thing and got rid of the scars on his face. I hate when they do that for characters who get blinded.
Yeah.
But if that's the mom, let's show the team dad.
This was actually one of my
Gladio.
favorite characters.
Gladio the abs.
Yes. My girlfriend loved Gladio.
I just
I
thought it
can
was
see why. I'm just going to say this. I'm going to quote something. Nobody's that straight.
Yeah. Nah, I'm with you on that one.
Nobody's that straight.
I can't argue.
Also, he's got some sweet tattoos.
Oh yeah.
Yes, he does.
And
But I will admit, funniest thing was the Assassin's Creed DLC add-on, where
oh
he's
yeah,
got his one arm around Cindy and one arm around the other chick, and he's like, "No, Noctis, they're with me. Come on, ladies." I'm like, "You dog."
yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
yeah. That was I never actually I didn't play that at time, so I missed out on it. But I have watched it in cutscenes
I
and
got
compilation.
through it once
And,
enough to get the costume for Noctis, and that was it.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was a timed crossover, which is stupid.
yeah, because that happens like before you actually do your first
Summon.
assault.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, let's just talk about Gladio, and he's the big guy of the group. He
He is
towers.
pretty much exactly what a Kingsglaive is. He is the bodyguard of the group, essentially.
I gave him a sword and shield, and he just blocked everything and just ran through like a goddamn
Yeah,
juggernaut.
his two
Dude,
weapons
yeah,
is the two-handed swords and big ass shield.
Yep.
Perfect weapons for a bodyguard.
Yeah, it really
yes,
is. And he's he's the flattest of the four brothers, and the Choco Bros as they're called. But that does not make him uninteresting in the slightest. He is also one of the few people who can call Noctis out for his shit, but he
Mm-hmm.
doesn't do it in an elegant way of saying, "Now, Prince, you really shouldn't." Now he'd be like, "Noctis, you're an idiot."
Yeah, he
yeah,
is blunt, for
Yeah.
lack of better words, but
Which,
some.
as he has a little sister, it feels like that's what he's doing. He's just substituting Noctis for his little sister, and
Mhm.
he would call his little sister for her shit.
And the reason these two even got along because in the anime, he was not liking the prince's attitude when the prince was young. Noctis, he was pretty much
Yeah,
like annoying little shit at the time. He
yeah,
found out afterwards when his sister almost got into trouble. Noctis was the one that bailed her out and took the blame, pretty much keeping his sister out of trouble, and that's what really cemented. Um,
oh, he's not just a little shit.
yeah,
There's a human being under that.
yeah, and so he saw that there was more
He
to
just need,
Noctis and decided
yeah,
to actually put the effort into training him.
he just needed
yeah,
guidance, and yeah, he is basically Noctis's personal teacher as well for most styles of combat, which I respect. A bodyguard should also make sure that they can take care of themselves when they're indisposed.
Mm,
yes.
And
Also, it doesn't help that Gladio's race of people, as he
oh yes,
points out, are just bodyguards for the crown anyway.
yeah.
eh.
He also had
So,
the weakest of the character DLCs, in my opinion.
I enjoyed it though.
Oh, and I enjoyed it, but
well,
just
he didn't need nothing too strong because it was like
No,
most people already knew him and what he could
yeah.
do. So it's kind of like, hey, you know what? We gave everyone else one. Here's one for him too.
I mean it
But it
felt
was
more
one.
like he was doing it for more of his own personal self discovery rather than becoming a
Yeah.
new character in a sense.
Oh no,
Yeah,
my actual problem is that you go on an adventure and get a really awesome sword, and then like 5 minutes later in game, the sword is pretty much irrelevant to everything else you can get for him.
Yeah, but you can say at
yeah,
certain points about that with almost any of the
Yeah,
DLCs.
it's just a pet peeve of mine. If someone says this is a legendary weapon, I'm like, oh, good, this should be the ultimate weapon for the character.
Here's a steel
Oh,
blade that's better than that.
here's this random shop that sells something better than this sword of infamy.
I mean, if they
yeah.
gave him a different legendary weapon in game that was better, that would be a different story.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that's my issue with 14. You spend months on a relic weapon, and then also
Yes.
new
Yes.
DLC. Guess what? The sword that's in the shop over there for 100k gil is 3 times better than the sword you just spent 4 months building.
At least it takes until you're like 5 levels higher, though. It ain't much, but
Yeah.
it ain't much. But at least there's a glamour system in 14.
Yes.
So,
So you at least keep the look of the weapon.
and your own head can keep it that way.
yeah,
Yeah.
But like I said, Gladio's pretty one note when it comes to comparing to the rest of the team. He's not that one note. I love how when you go for drives, he's actually the one reading the most often. And you wouldn't think
oh
the
yeah, I
big
forgot
buff
about
body.
that.
I just like the way he lounges in back, arm outside the car, reading from his little book. Like, what is he reading? I'm just curious. And I've
How to
always
Raise a Prince 101.
it could be anything from a lifestyle guide to I don't know. Maybe he's big into romance novels. I could see Gladio loving romance novels.
Oh God, the guy in Naruto that's always reading the novels.
I mean, actual
Kakashi.
romance novels, not hentai.
But
Hey,
I
depending who
also
you
like.
ask, those could be romance novels.
I mean, yeah. But I do like how if you're not going to use the car and Noctis will start complaining, Gladio's like, "This is good for you. We all need to exercise."
Yeah.
Because his especially was surviving in the outdoors. Each of the
Yeah.
companions had a special side ability. As we mentioned,
Not to, English taught cooking.
and he could learn new recipes.
Yep.
Gladiolus was outdoorsman or something to that extent.
Survival.
Survival. And he could find items out in the wild when you
Yeah,
explored.
he was also the one most excited to go camping, but you could either stay at an inn or camp. And sometimes you just hear him complain like he hasn't been outside for camping for a while. You know what? We'll camp tonight. We're not going to sleep in a hotel.
Yep, we're gonna go out to this one spot. I usually got one that's right by the river near a bridge. I'm like, we're going out there. We're gonna camp out there so we can hear the water.
Oh, and Noctis
Oh,
was fishing. You could fish in this game.
Oh, I love Noctis
Yes,
fishing.
Noctis loved fishing, which I like that. I like that every character had something they enjoyed doing.
I love how they also all tease each other about it. Like if you spend too much time fishing, like going from one fishing hole to another, team's like, oh, Noctis.
Yes.
But if you spend too much time camping, they're all like, Gladio, can we sleep in an inn tonight?
You know what another cute thing with all four of these guys was? They all played the same mobile game, and they would make comments about playing it when they were camping out.
Yeah, it was cute.
Yeah.
I get the feeling that Ignis did start originally, but either Gladio or Prompto got him to just so they could have something like that with Ignis.
Which is funny enough, is it's an actual mobile game. It's basically pinball.
Yes.
you also can play the pinball in various restaurants, which I like that too.
Yes.
But there's an actual mobile app you can download. It's basically just pinball with monsters.
Yeah, it's
That's
cute.
hilarious.
Yeah, but let's get on to the fourth and final member. This is Prompto. This is the only member who was not assigned by royalty to be with Noctis. Noctis picked his childhood best friend in a sense.
Which is fine. He kind of needs a little more his age group to go with.
Yes.
Because
Ignis and Gladio are older than him. They're like at least 10 years older than him.
Yeah.
Prompto is his classmate.
And while that's fine for bodyguard, sometimes you just need somebody to screw around with that is not.
Yeah.
Yes. And it was actually cute too, though, and I'll say the word cute, is I do remember seeing the picture of him, and I didn't realize it was the anime. He was actually a chubby kid.
Oh, yeah, I remember that story.
And looking at Noctis and them, it motivated him to lose weight and become who he is now in the game.
Which is a complete stick. I think he went a little bit too far.
Yeah, he went to just the one extreme. But he likes taking pictures, and that is his thing.
And as a guy who actually enjoys taking photos, I respect that. Prompto's my least favorite of the group because he's a little bit of annoying shit at times. But I see why Noctis keeps him around. He's the sunshine rainbows of the group. And sometimes, with two serious guys around him at all times and his own serious destiny, having this warm ball of sunshine sitting in the back of the car like, hey, can we stop for snacks?
And to be fair, also, he's not to be your best friend, Em. He's Noctis's. So you don't have to like him.
No, I don't. I understand why Noctis likes him. I wouldn't spend 5 minutes with him myself, besides going, that's a good photo. That's a good photo. Why'd you take that photo? But there is one thing about Prompto I love. His unbridled giddiness to seeing chocobos.
Oh, yes. I want to ride my chocobo all day.
That was, of course, was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I always made sure I had chocobos, like rental chocobos with me at all times, just so I could get on them when lost. This will make Prompto happy.
To be fair, running around the chocobos was fun.
Oh yeah,
It
the
really
Chocobos
was.
they handle like let's just say it like that. The vehicles in this game, besides the flying one, handled like dreams. Well, that's not true. When it was actually in the air, it handled like a dream. Taking off and landing, not so much.
I mean, they made the driving simple in the game. Like all you had to do was literally just hold the gas, and
You did,
the
but you
game
could.
took care of everything
You could
else.
actually, if you earn certain ability points, you could actually earn like a shit ton if you left your game on overnight and just let it drive itself.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I think I
Yep.
did that once or twice.
Yeah, because
Once you got like the headlights that destroyed monsters, it was really good.
yeah,
Yeah.
But Prompto is also the shooter of the group. He uses guns and magitech,
yeah,
which
machinery basically is what they call it.
yeah, yeah,
Well, yeah, for obvious
Like the
reasons.
bioblaster for reference.
yes. Which
Yes.
when I realized I can get them old Edgar weapons, like oh hey, now I like you slightly more, kid.
There was the
He really is
chainsaw, the bioblaster, the bow and arrow. Or not the bow and arrow, the
I
crossbow.
believe the noise blaster too.
Yes.
Yes. The noise
Yeah.
blaster.
Anyway, he's just there to be the fourth man of the group.
Mhm.
He fills the slot of we need someone younger in the group with
And
less.
to be
of a
fair,
destiny.
while he's not probably the best trained, he's no slouch in combat.
No,
So
no, he is getting a leg up thanks to not because his ability to imbue his friends with powers, but there's still him to it. Like when you play his DLC, it feels like a homage to Dirge Cerberus in a sense.
you also got to
Yeah.
figure that Gladios and Ignis are giving him tips for combat too.
Yeah, if you're going to be hanging out with the prince on this adventure, you're going to train with us every few mornings. Which, I don't know, I see him having a harder time keeping up with Gladios training than Noctis does.
Well, yeah. I mean, Gladio is more of that rough, rugged, physical combat training.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give this. At least he'll have good cardio.
Yeah, at
Oh
least
yeah, never
yeah, at
skip
least
leg day.
yeah, at least Prompto's aware that he's never going to be as tough as these guys, so he decided, I'm going to go with a hand on his weapon.
Makes
I
sense to me.
do have one problem with his handgun, though.
Yes.
Why are you in the mob's face?
Thank
Please
you.
back off.
Thank you. If he hid behind rocks and had cover fire, did he cover fire for you guys? Brilliant. If he got swarmed and that's why he was shooting the face, also makes sense. But no, he runs up.
Yeah,
Arm-
runs up at
Well,
everybody else. I'm right here,
half
guys.
me understands because if he would switch to like bioblaster when he ran up, I could understand. Like
Yes.
use the gun to get up close while you're at a distance, and then once you're up close, switch to the bioblaster.
But no, he runs up and like shoots in the face. Like I think he won't miss at that range.
I mean, I get it though. It's due to the limitations of the combat of the game, far as
Yes.
programming. So, but I look at the company like Square Enix. I'm like, guys, you guys should have at least fleshed out the combat of the game. If nothing else, the combat should have been fleshed out in this game.
Yeah, you built an engine for this game. You have no excuse of saying engine limitations when you should have known what you wanted your engine to do in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not even that. You like you literally programmed him to charge in. That means there should be a program to say you recognize distance, be farther away.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's actually funny about that is Metal Gear Solid 5, Phantom Pain, had that same issue when you had Diamond Dog with you.
Oh,
If you
yeah.
tell him to wait and you go not even 10 feet away, he comes running right back up to you.
Yeah.
Or if you go prone to use your sniper rifle, he walks right in front of you as you're pulling the trigger.
That's one of the reasons why I never used Diamond Dog, besides when he had the teleportation backpack.
Yeah. I used him because it was easier for him to detect enemies than Quiet.
Yes, that's true. I just use Quiet more because I preferred someone to help me cover fire.
Yeah.
Well, you're a sniper. I mean, you do that
Yes,
shit.
yes. But I know nobody who used D-Walker.
No, nobody uses that thing. Like, why is it even here?
D-Horse was better. I mean, I used D-Horse's shit literally to save my
No, that's
ass.
so that Ocelot
I
can use
have
as a
too.
walking cane.
No, that's because that D Walker, my buddy, because I watched him and he maxed that thing out for everything. He bought everything for it. He was like, "Yeah, watch this," and it still sucked. He's like, "Yeah, this thing is just not worth the
On
money."
paper, it would have been good. It should have just been like a vehicle, not a buddy.
Yeah,
If you could have the D-Walker and D-Dog, yeah.
that would have been amazing.
Yeah, I'll probably just stick to using D-Dog just because I like dogs, but
I'd use D-Dog more than I used the horse. I'll say that much.
Oh yeah, I think everybody has.
Well, the
Then
thing is,
quiet.
like, the horse is nice when you start out, but you could just go steal a better vehicle.
You can.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
mean,
like,
but if you're going for the achievement, which is to shit in a vehicle's path and spin it out, then it's like, all right, I've got my use out of it. Now I'm done. Which I don't get how shit would spin out a vehicle, but I'm not gonna split hairs over a video
Anyway, we'll save this for a Metal Gear Solid episode because it looks like we will have to re-invite you for that episode.
I have a lot of Metal Gear Solid history. Like my history goes all the way back to the Nintendo Entertainment System with Metal Gear.
Ooh, that's a good.
ooh, oh yeah, we'll
I'm
get
just
there
gonna
eventually.
before we get there, I just need to say this out loud. MGS3 is my favorite franchise.
I like Metal Gear
Uh,
Solid 1.
for me, I'd have to say two,
Fair.
and that was mainly because of the graphical update and just the way the game played. Three, I loved its camera system, and I liked the story of Big Boss. Four was just, hey, you want weapons? Here's weapons.
I never played 4 because it's only PS3 exclusive, and that's the only console I don't own.
Oh man, put it this way, it's just a game where you want weapons. Here's weapons because you can
Okay.
use every
Yeah,
weapon
they
in the game.
went ham heavy on the weapons and
Hey,
modifications.
it references my other favorite Hideo Kojima game, so I will have to get it eventually.
They're
But
pretty cheap nowadays.
let's move on, shall we?
Yes.
Yes,
This is another fun character I liked.
It wouldn't be a Final
Sid.
Fantasy game without Sid. He makes your weapons for you in a sense. He makes
Mhm.
the ultimate weapon. He makes Prompto's special magic weapons.
Which is
He's your
funny.
dad's old friend. He's just a grizzled old guy who runs a garage.
Which is funny because you can get one of the best swords in the game before chapter 2 that you'll use
Yes,
like throughout like 2/3 of the game.
Yes. What
the
is it, the
engine.
engine blade?
Yeah, the
Yes.
engine blade,
Yep.
which upgrades to the ultimate blade.
Yep. Although it's actually funny, was Final Fantasy 12 was if I'm thinking correctly, was the only one Sid was actually a villain.
Yes,
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
he's been
Yep.
an antagonist, but not a villain in a few games.
Yeah. Yeah. This one he was just straight villain.
Yeah. In this one, he's just a grizzled old mechanic.
That
He was
used
your-
to be an adventurer with the previous king.
Yeah. So in a sense, he's kind of Knox's uncle figure.
Hmm.
So they took an arrow to the knee.
Yep. But you know what's better than one, Sid?
Well, before we get there, real quick, I just do want to say one thing. He's also one of the few people that does not deal with doctors as shit.
Well,
Oh
yeah.
no, he's too old and got no time for that.
You get the impression he didn't have time for the king shit, so he ain't gonna have time for the princess shit.
Exactly.
I
He
know,
don't
but-
take shit from
But the way
nobody.
he doesn't take shit from Noxus is more like that grumpy uncle that everybody likes.
Yeah.
And it's just really entertaining, that premise.
I also feel like if you could, he would have so many good stories about Knox's dad that in a better game would be bonus stuff he gives you.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
oh, I remember back in my adventuring days with your dad, he literally lost his royal shoes in the muck because he thought he could get a flower for his wife to be. And we all told him, don't go in that muck, don't go in that muck. And we had to pull him out.
I can see that. Like
Yeah.
that would be cool as like little side content. Like you don't have to do it, but just go listen to a story from Sid.
But
Yeah, you come back with like, he should have been like the head of the hunting guild, if you ask me.
Mhm. But what
Yeah.
I was saying, you can see how detailed his facial expressions are and how detailed he is. You get that feeling from his design.
Yeah.
And that's,
I-
like I said, that's not something you can get from Polygon and stuff like that. It's much
Yeah.
harder. But with this engine, you get the finer details of feeling from that.
Yeah.
Like, we just
But-
gave you a small background, and this character design fits that perfectly just from looking at him.
Yeah. Now, there's another main reason why he stopped adventuring. He had to take in his granddaughter, who's also named Sid.
Cindy.
Yeah, Cindy or Sid for short. So it's Sid and
Yeah.
Sid's Hammerhead store. And yes, they really went deep with her design.
Yeah, and they even cut some of that out.
Oh yeah, they did.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, her original.
She
design's
got
a lot
Tifa
more-
syndrome from the Sevens remake.
Guys, leave it in there.
I mean, I kind of understand why they did that for Tifa. She is, a fist fighter.
Yeah, but then they gave it to Rose in the exact same game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like you could have just left it.
Yeah. Anywho, she's probably the female character you see the most, which is both good and bad.
She gets
Because
more
too
screen
much of
time
her.
than Luna.
Yeah, you get too much of her at times, I think.
Yeah,
Like-
she's in too many cutscenes.
Yeah, and also they really do linger on some shots where they really, really should. It almost feels as bad as Final Fantasy X-2, where they're just like ass shot, ass shot, ass shot, ass shot. Shouldn't the camera be looking at people's faces? I've made my choice.
I would live
Oh
with it.
god, Mass Effect 2 Miranda all over again.
Basically, yeah. Oh, the difference is, no, she's immediately likable, unlike Miranda.
You know what the
Yeah.
funny thing is? She eventually hooks up with Prompto.
Really,
Yeah.
I didn't think it was canon.
Yeah, that's canon.
That
Oh,
is
that's
canon.
cute. That's cute. It did get a little bit creepy how much he was into her, though, at times.
Yeah, but at least he wasn't. It was creepy, but it wasn't.
Stalkery.
Yeah, it felt more like he was talking about with his close friends, and that was it. Like he wasn't
Yes,
stalking
yes.
her.
Like when he was actually around her, he was more well behaved,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which I'll give him that.
Yeah.
I had to catch myself, so I almost mentioned somebody.
Oh God.
And you know who I'm talking about.
Hooray for being outside on inside jokes.
Be glad you're not on this one.
I'll
Oh
take my
God.
pleasure in that then. But she's the one who maintains car mostly. Sid just gives you weapons. She maintains the regalia for you. She also washes it every single time you go get it fixed up or gas at her shop. And yeah, of course they do that shot you're really thinking of when she's waxing your car.
At least that's appropriate when you're supposed to be doing that.
Yes, but
Yeah.
also,
Like,
was it necessary every single time you come back for gas?
no, but then again, it
That
made you
was
come back for
there
gas.
that was for the male players is what that was for. That was just for them. Like, hey, we know you like fan service.
I mean, I do, but you could tone it down a bit.
Well, let's be fair. It's also a choice to go back there to view it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you could always just go to another random place and
I
flop.
tended to
Or
forget to get
get
gas.
the infinite gas thing for your car, so
Yeah,
you don't have to worry
once
about
I
gas
got
again.
that, I never saw the cutscene ever again, and I didn't mind it.
Well, see,
'Cause
it's still
everyone-
optional then. So yeah.
Yes, but it didn't feel optional for a while.
Uh,
Anyway, it's a shame that she is both seen so much and seen so little because she could have actually been part of the story.
I mean, she could have been a party member like Prompto, uses machines and throws wrenches at people.
I mean, they could have
Every-
gave her a side on. I'm pretty sure she has one.
Yeah, she has an interesting backstory too. That her parents were killed by demons, and that's why her grandfather's taking care of her, and she's been looking for ways to help protect people from demons.
Makes sense
I
to
like
me.
that. And
Yeah.
at the end of the game, she's found a way to really do that, and she's basically managing people for that. And I
mean,
really like that.
In the second half of the game, I think she was helping design the perimeters with the anti-demon lights to try and keep the city parts of the city
Yeah.
safe.
She
Yeah.
has you go find those for your car, and then she learned from them. Full respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She never gets fridged. She just is in the background.
So let's move on.
Wait, shouldn't the car be its own thing? You know, the car is an important member of the team.
We'll talk about that in a few minutes near the end, because I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure we all want to gush over the car.
Yeah, we do. But what's a Final Fantasy game without an interesting antagonist? Final Fantasy VII.
And a villain that actually fits a villain role.
This is Arden Azunia, the main antagonist, and he steals every scene he's in.
Now, I will say this: there are other antagonists throughout the game, but this is pretty much your big main antagonist, that the one that you're
Yeah.
going to be paying the most attention to.
He's the puppet master in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
You think it's the Empire, and you think he's just the Empire's ambassador. No, he's pulling strings, and he's delightfully pulling strings.
Mm-hmm. Plus, he's
Like,
got a
you
really
get
nice hat.
Yes. You also get the feeling that he's just letting you know he's pulling the strings. You feel like if he's with the Empire, he's like, "Oh no, I work for you. I work for you."
That's the feeling I got, especially with the few cutscenes where he's pretty much dancing around with politics with
Yeah.
them.
Yes, his animations in this game are just so delightful.
Yes.
He's the closest. He's kind of like Loki at his best from the Marvel
And
Cinematic Universe.
I know I said this before, but once again, because of the graphics with this, it came off so much better.
Yeah, especially when his face starts melting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It
I
was.
thought it was funny when he helped you get past the security checkpoint. He's like, "Oh, don't worry, you're with me. We'll get past it."
I mean,
You're just like, "Why are you helping me?"
yeah.
Like you don't know he's the antagonist when you see him, but he sets off like Ignis and Gladios like warning bells. I mean, like, we shouldn't trust this guy. We're not sure why. And Noctis is just confused by it the entire time. Like, who? Why?
Like, Like, why is this happening, guys?
Yeah, I won't not to spoil anything, but don't go too far in this past. But he does have a huge connection with Noctis.
Yes. And a legit understandable reason why he hates Noctis. He shouldn't. It shouldn't. I don't believe in sins of the father as an actual thing. But considering his backstory, I kind of understand why he does believe in sins of the father.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since Noctis is the chosen hero, which in a sense, Arden could have been the chosen hero.
Yeah, I still got to finish that DLC, but
He also got DLC, and it's delightfully chaotic. I love
wasn't
it.
he the last DLC?
Yes, he was the last DLC. I'm glad they went on his DLC. It's the best.
Yeah, because I know all the three companions got DLC and his,
Mhm.
but I think that was all the
Yes.
DLC that got released.
Yes, there was supposed to be Luna Frey was supposed to get some.
I know the
Then you have the
Dragoon.
multiplayer.
Yeah, I know Dragoon
Multiplayer,
was
yeah.
supposed to get DLC.
Yeah, the Dragoon Lady.
Yes, Highwind.
Highwind,
Yep.
yes.
And I know the last DLC was supposed to be Episode Noctis, and my response, like everyone else, is the entire game is Episode Noctis.
I think it was supposed to be. I'm gonna go on a limb and say it was more in depth of him.
Yes.
Particular scene that happens later.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's probably that, but at the same time, it also feels like,
I'm already Noctis.
It's pretty much to cut content that's not needed.
yeah.
Yeah.
But Arden has almost all, actually, he does have pretty much all the same powers as Noctis does. So I do like when you actually fight him in the final boss. It's basically a mirror match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And a really good mirror match, because, well, I think we've all played mirror matches in games where they're just terrible. See
Yeah.
every fight with Shadow Link in a sense.
Well, it is pretty much a mirror match. There are also minor differences between the two and how they use it.
Exactly. They actually
So-
did implement that really well when you fight him. He's not like copying you. He's, oh, hey, I can do the same thing as you, but I prefer to do it like stab you like this.
Yeah,
Yes.
I will admit that the Armitage system that Noctis has is one of my favorite systems in the game.
Yes. Like, and you really get to see how interesting it is when you've mastered it by the end of the game. And here comes a guy who has also mastered it. And you're like, oh, it's used like that.
Yeah, it's like the game is showing you how to do other things with it. Believe it or not, Final Fantasy 14 does that when you fight Nidhogg Estinian.
Yep.
He actually
Estinian.
shows you how you're supposed to use your Dragoon attack powers.
Yep. His ultimate attack in that in its Stinian form becomes the level 70 Dragoon attack.
Yep.
Christ, Dash, we're gonna have to invite you back when we do a 14 episode.
Yes, yes, we are.
I play way too many games.
I mean, don't we all?
This is true.
I'm
That's why we're
trying to
here.
play more.
Mhm.
I just actually have to sleep and work.
Hey, I work
just-
too.
I mean, I just planted Sonic Frontier, so I'm not going to judge anybody right now.
I was gonna say, what is your opinion on that? But we'll wait till.
Well,
then.
yeah, I was like, let's.
We'll save that for. Oh, okay, quick thing. Good.
Okay, we
More
can talk more
details to
about that
come
at the
later.
end, but let's continue on. Now,
Yes.
the other thing I liked about his, and like I said, I bring it up every time, but I have a question for you too.
Mhm.
If
Okay.
this had been like the graphics from Final Fantasy VII, the polygons, do you think you would have come across as well if you were just reading the lines?
Just reading
If we're-
lines.
If we're just reading lines, no, because honestly, I'm going to say this: his voice actor, Darren DePaul,
Mhm.
lives this role.
Right.
Yeah, like he really got into that role and became him.
He became this little chaotic shit.
So I think the other things that we should have mentioned is the voice acting really plays a large part as well.
I don't think there's a bad voice in this game. Maybe like some side character you only spend like 5 seconds
Yeah,
with.
the quest giver voices or someone there might be a bad voice, but the main cast, they nailed it. They knew
Yep.
what they were doing. They knew the role. And despite this game changing over the course of God knows how many years,
It's the development hell cycle.
yeah, at least the voice actors managed to nail the roles in this game. The story may not have had more holes in it than a Swiss cheese, but
Yeah, honestly, you feel like these guys deserved a better script.
Yeah. I actually have to say I have no complaints with the voicing cast of this game at all. Like usually I find one voice I do not care for.
Yeah, me too. There's usually like one guy who just stands like a goddamn sore thumb, but everyone here, even the most annoying voice, you look at going, no, you belong here.
Yeah, like you fit that annoying voice. You fit it.
and
Yep,
I
keep
think
it.
this was also the instance where I had the right voice, that he wasn't the heroic voice for this guy, but he
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the mustache twirling voice that would have given away right at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What he needs to eat to see the scenery, it's well done. Like they directed this game well, they acted this game well. So when they have him just being smug in the background, he's smug in the background. When he's giving a grandiose speech and spinning around, eating every piece of scenery he can get his hands on, you're at the edge of your seat going, "Eat more of the scenery, please. This is delightful."
Yes, and they managed to do that again in 14 with Emmett Sulk.
Yeah, he
It's
and Emmett,
rare for them to do that.
yeah,
Mhm.
he and Emmett Song are cut from the same cloth. I kind of feel like Yoshi P looked over at 15, going, "I'm gonna take some of that and make it my own."
Definitely felt they
Yeah,
took some of the energy from this and gave it to Emmett, which was a
Yeah,
good
yes,
design choice.
which I
it
really,
was.
really wanted to see in the next Dissidia game. These two interacting instead of Xenos representing 15.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Just
Well,
watching
he's
these
got
two,
combat abilities now. They could easily work with it.
yeah, but it's gonna be Xenos again.
Yeah, I mean,
It's always going to be Xenos
yeah.
because
I don't
he's
hate
the
Xenos.
pain.
I don't hate Xenos, but every other villain's slightly more interesting to
I
me.
only have one other request: is can we not have the potato?
Yeah, please get rid of the potato.
Look, I'm just gonna say it again. I've said it before. I don't want a tank that I feel like I could put across the battle arena.
Yeah, like I said, I can just put them on my shoulder and like, look, you just block whatever comes to my face. I'll deal with everything else.
Oh my! I do remember that reminds me. Yoshi P once got asked, "Can we have LFLs ride our shoulders as like a fashion accessory?" And he's like, "Would you be okay if other people did that?"
Yeah, sure, why not? If I'm gonna do it for one, I might as well do it for them all.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? If I could do that, I would actually finally play a potato. Just ride on
God,
the
now I'm
tank's
just
shoulder.
picturing Doc on Kaw's shoulder.
Anyway, that's for another thing. But
Another discussion.
Yeah,
yes, but
inside joke. But
yeah, like I said, I think Arden is probably the best single player villain we've gotten.
mhm.
In a
Like,
very long time.
yes,
Like I said, I think what really brought him out is that I don't know how true this is, but they must have given him some free reign to work with his role.
I can definitely see that.
Because I think a lot of them were, in my opinion. I don't know how true that might be, but I could just see it with all of them.
Hmm. I
Yeah,
Out of everyone here, I do think Arden is the one who got short-staffed the most the bad game. Like
yeah.
he really elevates 15. So imagine putting him in a really good
Well,
game. He would.
I'll put it down to him and Luna really getting the short stick in this game, in a
Yeah,
sense.
Luna because she was
He,
written the short end of the stick. Arden because he's performing so well, we need him more.
Hmm.
he needed a. It just needed to be better. Like,
Yeah,
here's the stage, but it's not big enough.
yeah, he's the grand stage actor, and you put him on like a elementary school stage. It's what it feels like. He's performing Shakespeare to the
Oh, you
kindergartners.
know what that actually kind of makes me think of?
Hmm?
Hmm.
Star Trek: The Next Generation. Jean-Luc Picard, a well-renowned actor, on a stage with some people that don't have acting experience.
Yeah,
I can see
or
that.
it's like Gordon Ramsay with a bunch of people that never cooked a day in their life.
Oh God, yeah, that's another good. Yeah,
But let's move on before we start talking. We reveal too much about this interesting story that he has.
yes, I do think
Yes.
the story needs to be done in game.
Because as much as I want to try and talk about, it, we can talk about it a little bit later as an overall view.
Mhm.
But there's some things I want the people that are interested in these games and movies and other things we discuss. I want them to experience for themselves
Yeah,
and
just
kind of get their own
this
opinion.
is this is more of a warning that don't go in expecting it to be flawless, and there
No.
are some ways we think it could be improved. We
And we'll
try not to
discuss
spoil
that later,
things.
which you can cut out at the end. That's why I try to save a lot of the more talking at the end.
Yeah.
Most of this is just a
Anyway,
quick overview.
yes.
Yes.
Anyway, next part.
What is Final
Yes.
Fantasy without summons?
Final
Mm.
Fantasy 1 and 2.
Yeah, but no one
We
talks about
don't
those anymore.
we don't talk about two. Two doesn't exist.
Now
They're called
this
the
thing is
Astral.
actually a gigantic, huge mountain. Honestly,
Yeah. These are the
Yep.
Astrals, they're called in this game.
Astros. That was it. I was going to call them Eidolons again.
Yeah. And each one has their own name besides Titan. This is Titan the Archean,
Hmm.
he's called. And yes, he's basically a meteorite or a mountain who just stands up.
Yeah, because he caught a meteor that fell to Earth that was going to wreck it, or whatever they call the
Yes,
planet.
that's pretty good. Yes.
So,
Titan.
Yeah.
and I actually think he got the roughest design in this game.
Hmm.
Titan normally gets the roughest design because what can you
Uh-huh.
really do with a rock?
Yeah.
I mean, there even if you look at a bunch of anime or a bunch of other video games that use rock type enemies, they always are rough because you can't really make it look so pretty.
Well, I think the only reason they left this so rough is you're never really supposed to see him like this.
No, you're not. You're only supposed to see from a certain point.
Yeah, I
That's
mean, when you actually go to talk to this guy, you're pretty much fighting on his hand and arms. You're never really seeing his whole body.
I was just gonna say this because I had recently played Metal Gear Solid Revengeance. All I could think of this entire time is the actual Metal Gear from that game when I was doing the whole mission with it to get the Titan.
Yes.
But
he also every summon in this game has a unique mechanic. You don't choose when you summon. The game chooses for you when you fulfill certain requirements.
yeah.
Titan only shows up if like half your party is unconscious.
And I understand why they did that, because these are actually less you
Gods.
summoning
They're
them
gods.
and more gods deciding to help your ass.
Yes.
But
And basically when you hit the summon button, it's a screen nuke.
yeah.
Which I appreciate. I kind of prefer the summons being like big booms.
But my issue is some of these conditions are absolute ass.
Yep. Leviathan only shows up if you're near water.
Which I understand that one. That kind of makes sense. But it's like...
He's a water creature.
At the same time, you're like, but I want a variety. I've been getting removed for the last 20 minutes.
I could never get Ramu off the time. I usually got Shiva.
Oh, I got Ramu too many times to count.
Yeah. Ramu seems to be the easiest one to spot, in my opinion. Shiva's the next easiest one.
I think Ramu is like if you hit red, he'll decide to show up.
But pretty much the only two people that can even somewhat understand these gods is Noctis, Luna, and Arden. Thank you. My brain farted.
It's not that too rare for you.
Gladio knew who he was. He just didn't know much about
Well,
him.
there are legends about each one of them. Like there are legends and stories because people know these things exist. What they look like and where they are is more of a converted secret, but they know they exist. There's no question there.
Mm-hmm.
So, but they don't exactly speak. It's kind of like more like Atreus feeling emotions from the animals is what I get the feeling that Noctis really picks up on.
Yeah, that might be kind of how it is.
Yeah,
unless you get one of the more intelligent ones.
Yeah.
More beard to be sure.
Yes.
Beardy head.
My favorite thing about this Ramu is his staff is Ixion from 10. Because which just makes me think he killed 10 summons. Like, no, I'm the lightning summon, you jerk.
Like they're kind of having a power struggle of which one is the lightning god.
Which is weird. He's been replaced twice, and he keeps coming back. And I'm like, just give up, Square. He's the lightning summon. We all love Ramu and his magnificent beard. We all want to make a cabin inside of.
Yeah, exactly. I also wanted to get a DLC costume for
Quetzalcoatl.
I want a DLC costume if you're dressing up as Santa Claus.
But don't forget, you also got Quetzalcoatl.
I can't actually pronounce Quixicotl. I believe it's actually supposed to be pronounced.
It might be. I just pronounce it however I think I can spell it. But
fair enough. It is a mouthful, and neither one of us is, from that further south.
Exactly. I'd have to listen to it in Japanese to actually know how they pronounce it.
And they're basing it off an actual god from I think it's Mayan culture. Or
I thought it was Aztec.
Yes.
Aztec.
Either way, they're still pulling something from way back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not to mention that how the tongue of language evolved since then.
Yes,
exactly.
But anyway, Ramu is the one who shows up the easiest. His requirement is basically just time. If the fight's going so long, that's what spawns him.
Which I kind of like, and I kind of don't like either.
Yes. Like, I do like how you just can't, pull the summon out of your ass at any point you want, but sometimes you just really want to see the summon show up and just smite something.
Yes, but I do like how they made them overpowered in this one, because that's how I feel they should be.
Because in this world, they're considered actual gods. If they can't smite a small...
Noctis fits in the palm of Ramu's hand.
Yeah.
He picks Noctis up and then strikes the ground because he's worried he might hit Noctis. And he's like, what about Noctis's friends? And they're standing there getting electrocuted slightly.
It's like, they'll be fine. Just give him a Phoenix down. You just fried all my friends.
I think Propto's hair is sticking straight out again.
I was like, God damn it. Get the hair gel.
How much hair gel do those guys bring with them is my question.
Well, dude,
they got a whole suitcase.
In the trunk.
Yeah. Is that the supplies they keep picking up and you never see them pick up?
Yep, it's the hair gel.
I mean, Ramu's got a good amount of hair gel with his hair.
Yeah. Anyway, next summon we had was Leviathan, who
Leviathan.
she's also ginormous. The tidal wave she summons is
But
just
at
like,
least, but you see, here's the thing: her design, despite what her size is, this design looks nice.
oh yeah, I think all
But
of them
compared
look
to how
pretty
rough
good.
I felt Titan looked a minute ago.
Yeah, Titan's pretty much the only one who got shafted, which, like you guys have said, it's really hard to do a rock guy.
I mean, just for a
Yeah.
moment, just look. It's mostly the shoulders and the arms really look off to me.
It feels like his model is not properly aligned. It's
Hmm.
Titan's
Well,
problem.
what doesn't help with that too is you gotta think that when Titan was designed, he was never designed to be fully on screen at
Right.
once.
That's what I'm
No,
saying.
no.
So this is something being taken, shrunken, and distorted to fit.
Yeah.
So it's not going to look right here. Whereas in the game,
You're
he
pretty much
looks
fighting
fine.
like huge battles on his hand that can pretty much fit a small town.
Yeah, they show
Yeah,
you what you're supposed to see. Leviathan, they can show you all Leviathan because it's a snake.
Hmm.
yeah, a sea serpent.
And not
Yeah,
all there all once. He's more segment as well, but
yeah. Also, I
this
like how she flies with those
mhm.
fins in some
she's
cutscenes,
Yes,
she's more streamlined, so it's easier to get the lineup on her.
which is why I called bullshit and how she can't come anywhere near water. Like, yes, she can. She can bring the ocean to us. She,
exactly. We'll just get in the car and
I,
kind of go in a different direction.
God, this
I,
reminds me
I,
of the question
I,
of how
I
anybody. Go ahead.
I say this as a guy whose town was hit by Fiona pretty badly.
Oof.
Yeah.
This reminds me of the question how anybody in Pokemon drives in a
Oh,
desert of heat stroke or lack of water is like, just bring a water Pokemon with you. Those things are a water gun.
yes.
Yeah, Squirtle.
Oh, Squirtle. At least Squirtle will be more useful in the desert than Bulbasaur will pull dry
Yeah,
water thing. Or Charizard, a Charmander, because the dry air will put his tail in and he'll just fall over dead. So in other words, another reason why Squirtle is best starter.
You mean
just
Bulbasaur?
don't bring in, just don't bring any Digimon because you're not gonna get help there.
Or you'll get more help than you want and cause a rift in reality. Nah, let's not go there.
Yeah, that's not good. That's a can of worms.
Instead,
But
just bring Metabots.
the other thing is like she's the one that actually has most communication with Luna. Again,
Yes.
cutting into that
Yeah.
runtime.
It's supposed to be something important about her and Lunafreya and the relationship between the Oracle and the Hydrion's what she's called, and lost in translation.
You know what? I just put it as, hey, we're running out of time. Just write something quick and put it on paper. Say these lines. Okay, let's go.
At
Yeah.
least they put Leviathan in the game. Leviathan gets shafted in a lot of games, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's it's the same. Where I'll be honest, I love the King of Dragons,
Hmm.
Yes,
but I feel that the King of Dragons gets way too much screen time in every Final Fantasy it's put in.
Yeah, I mean, when you
and
have three
rarely
different
is
versions in Final Fantasy VII.
and rarely
Yeah,
is he used extremely well. Like he's supposed to be the king, the big guy. So stop making him so prominent. When he
yeah,
shows up, it should be a big goddamn deal.
exactly. And that's where 14 did it right. He showed up. The whole world was almost destroyed by this one fucking thing.
Hmm.
Yes.
Like,
The Chaos game, I forget what it's called, did it pretty well with him too.
oh yes,
I forget what it's called.
Stranger of Paradise Origin.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
I can only remember because of Chaos is every 5 seconds in that game.
Yeah,
Yes, chaos,
I gotta get
chaos. I'll
back into
destroy
that.
chaos. I
Like the
beat
only
it. I'm actually playing it on hardest difficulty now.
nice. Only game franchise that said Chaos more is Sonic, and that's all the games put together say it more.
Yeah, but
Next summon, or Astral, we'll talk about is Shiva, which
Shiva,
I
the
like.
Booba lady.
I like the design of Shiva. She's the
It's
smallest.
very. She makes you really think of an ice skater.
Yeah, she also
Yes.
makes you think of a ghost too, like an ice wraith. Like she's not fully there, and I like her story in the game.
I'm trying to
You're-
remember. This is the one I don't remember.
She and Ifrit were a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Which explains
Okay.
why Ifrit is just angry all the time.
Yes, yes, it does. But she's an interesting. So I don't even know what causes her to show up. I'm gonna look that up.
I
Yeah, I
got
don't
her
remember
show-
what it took to get her to actually
Yeah, she
appear
was
on.
the second most common for me. If Ramu
Yeah,
was the most, I might
she
be.
was the second most common version of me. There's also the Chinese version of her that actually gave her clothes, which I actually think
Yeah.
was tasteful. I forget. I'll look it up while you guys talk about Shiva.
Okay.
It's my own curious.
I really don't remember much about her, but I do remember that, like I said, other than Ramu, she was the most summoned, and I was like, at some point, it just gets boring seeing the same two every time.
It was, and I get why they did it the way they did it because they want to make it like, hey, for these these summons, you want to be in their regions more or less for them to show up and have more of a percentage chance.
Mhm.
So I get what they were doing there. It makes it kind of interesting in its own way that, oh, well, if I want Titan, I need to be near a more mountainy area. If I want Leviathan, I need to be near more water, so on and so forth. Kind of make it give you the feel that these gods are like, hey, if you're in my domain, I'll help you.
Yeah.
But if you're not in my domain, you got to find someone
It
else.
also feels like that these are actual higher beings and they're coming to help you, so they're not going to be on call 24/7,
So,
which I
yes.
agree with. The one I had the
It-
most problem with was Ramu because it's like, oh, I can just keep dodging, keep this battle going until the win the
Yeah,
game button appears.
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you don't have to hit that button. And from what I've done quick reading, Shiva has no requirements. She will randomly show up if any requirement is met for another summon.
Makes sense because she's everywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you could actually Soul could be end up getting the Titan prompt every single time and ends up getting Shiva instead because the game decided to roll a dice and give him Shiva instead of Titan.
Yeah.
Oh,
She's
that's
the only one who she does not have a true instant kill. She frees everything and lets you smash them.
Yeah.
So she lets you finish them off,
yeah.
which I respect.
Yeah. So next on King Bahamut.
This might be one of my favorite designs for Bahamut.
That was not one of mine.
That's fair. He
Mm,
is both a dragon and a knight, and if you look at him from certain angles, you see more dragon, you see more knight, and that's what I like about him. Uh, However, characterization-wise, he's probably the worst Bahamut.
He's really just there to give you the plot, essentially.
Oh no,
yeah.
no, he's not. His
Really?
the entire plot of the game is his fault.
Mm.
Yeah, he's a giant jerk. If I'm remembering the story correctly, he's the king of the Astrals. He's the big king of everything. Whatever he declares is law. What he declared for Arden fucked up Arden, so it made Arden the bad guy. He won't forgive Arden.
Okay, that might be in the DLC. I never got around to fully finishing.
There's an ending you can get where you can get to have Arden have a smackdown with Bahamut.
Ah, okay. So I didn't play that DLC.
But
Mm-hmm.
I keep meaning to do them all. But as far as the main story is concerned, he's pretty much there for plot. I don't know if we can
Yeah,
summon him.
he's big. You can summon him once, and it's only for cutscene.
Oh, that's right.
But
Yeah, but primarily he's just there to give you the plot.
yeah, he's primarily there for the plot. But it really is more his doing things turned out the way they are.
Interesting.
But
It's also like it's basically Arden has a reason for hating the gods. It's all Bahamut's fault, and uh, it's basically. Have you guys heard of the term blue and orange morality?
Never heard of that.
not familiar
Wait,
with it.
okay, it's more lawful versus chaotic in a sense,
Okay.
Ah,
not good versus evil. And technically, what he does is lawful, but it's also screws everyone over.
It's pretty much like a big D&D character.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, yeah. And I do like that about him. It makes him slightly flawed, but it does make him like, God, do I want to punch this Bahamut? Like, shut up, you smug jerk.
yeah.
Every now and then you get one like that.
Mm-hmm. And it's also refreshing because usually Bahamut is the infallible summon. This time they made him fallible. But the thing is, you guys didn't notice that.
Well, to
That's
be
not
fair,
good storytelling.
well, there's two. Is one? I don't think is that prevalent in the main story.
No, it is not. Should have been, though.
Yeah, if what you're saying is fully 100%, then yes, it should have been more insinuated.
Yes.
Then again, to be fair, I don't think Noctis would have been in a position to call him out on that at the moment.
No, Noctis would have still sided with him because that's Noctis' destiny and Noctis' personality. But you would have understood Arden a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Which, as we've
Yeah, it would
already...
have made better storytelling.
It's there in-game, but it's like buried under text.
I mean, I do like all the swords he has.
Yes.
I will
I
say he
feel
will
like
not go to war unarmed.
No. But let's talk about the final summon.
This is Ifrit.
The infected summon with the Star Scourge, which is a plot point very poorly explained in this game.
As far as I
And the
understand
opening
it,
cutscene of the game.
yeah,
And that's pretty much... It's pretty cool that you start off the game in the fight with him. And you flash back to how you get there.
Yes.
Because if I remember the Star Scourge properly, it's something that fell from the heavens, hence the Star Scourge,
Mm-hmm.
and it pretty much summoned demons into the realm.
And made people sick who touched it, and
Mhm.
only Arden and Lunafreya could cure it.
Didn't Arden absorb it?
That's how he cured it.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay.
And that's why Bahamut screwed him over. Because he was doing the right thing, and Bahamut just didn't care and wouldn't help Arden after Arden was suffering from it. And instead declared Arden the source of all evil. Because he had absorbed so much of it.
Pretty much, hey, you know what? You decided to take this on yourself, so you're the problem now.
No. He declared Arden should do that.
Yeah, Bahamut's just a big jerk.
He's just a big jerk, if I'm remembering the story correctly. Or I could be misreading this because it's not very well written places.
Again, so much runtime and so many changes.
Mm-hmm. Again, it feels like they had to like they couldn't fully make the bridge, so you have to jump
But
through places.
Ifrit was the one that split off from the
Yes,
summons. He got corrupted by the Star Scourge.
Yeah.
So he is pretty much what you would have thought would have been the main villain of the game.
Yes. He and Arden can summon him.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one reason why Arden's the big villain. He can bring down a corrupted god anytime he wants. It's delightful when you can in his DLC.
But this almost feels like what would have been the secret boss if you do like the certain conditions right.
Or Arden's second form.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or even pull an Ultimate C and fuse with a summon.
Now imagine not just fusing with Bahamut.
That'd be too OP. That'd have to make him.
All I can picture is Yami Merrick fusing with the Winged Dragon Ross that just knocked his poking at him in Bahamut's forehead.
Yeah. Hi guys, I'm here.
All right, it's all I can think of. Just stupid.
Hey, it's an amusing thought. I'm thinking of it right now.
Yeah.
But
although to be fair, now I'm all picturing now is Ifrit with Arden's snazzy hat.
I mean, it's not shown very well here, but when you're fighting him at the start, there is a lot of fire. So
I love how in that fight he's just sitting on a throne, sending wave after wave of fire at you.
I love how everybody smartly gets behind cover instead of trying to magically deflect this shit.
And yet you can still see how the air is burning them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a well done scene. It's a holy shit.
Get down, this.
And then you flash back to them pushing the car, and you're like, oh, that was a fast forward.
Yeah, this is delightfully easy.
Yes. Although, because of how long the game is, by the time you get there, you almost forget that was the opening of the game.
Yeah.
And then you realize how powerful you are, and you're still ducking now out of the way.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, because you're still fighting a god.
Yeah, you never fight the gods. Like in most Final Fantasy games, you fight the summons to win their approval. In this one, I get the impression if you pick a fight with any of them,
you're just gonna get mopped up.
Yeah.
Which I was confused by when I got tight. I'm like, wait, I don't have to fight you? Well, that's a letdown. Fights Ifrit. Oh, no, it isn't.
Well, then again, these are also guys that are agreeing to help the lineage of the king, so it's not like...
Yeah.
I understand why you didn't have to fight them, but... at least... Because Naka's called it out when they did a crossover with 14, is like, they never make anything easy, do they?
No.
Yeah, he did say that. It was hilarious.
I love that.
So... It all pretty much, once for a real plot MacGuffin, comes down to this shiny crystal.
Well, once again, what's Final Fantasy with at least one crystal?
Crystal is always there.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's really important or just kind of there.
This is actually your main goal for, the second third of the game?
Yeah, to get back that crystal and take a nap on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
What was originally not just thought was going to happen was he was going to get to the crystal and somehow save the world from the Star Scourge.
Yeah, he thought just touching the crystal would. Whoop. He falls inside of the crystal and sleeps for 5 years?
Somewhere on there.
Somewhere around there. I know he comes out older.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say for those who haven't played it yet.
Yeah, it's basically the plot point of Ocarina of Time. He wasn't old enough and wise enough and strong enough to fight. And I'm just like, but he slept for 5 years. I don't know about you guys, but after a long nap, I don't feel wiser or stronger.
I don't feel like wiser or older just sleeping for 5 minutes.
I feel like I'm ready to go back to sleep.
Exactly. I'm like, I don't think you guys thought this plan.
But to be fair, inside the crystals when he talks to Bahamut and everything like that, and that opens up to what I call the final third of the game.
Yeah.
So the
Look,
first,
guys, just give me 10 more years in here.
yeah, I pretty much cut this game down into 3 arcs. The
Wait,
first arc,
wait. Ignis, did you bring coffee? Because I am not
Yeah.
ready to save the world without coffee.
I just
Otherwise, I'm
picture
going
Noctis
back to
walking
bed.
in with a tray with coffee and just pouring it like a gentleman for Noctis as he comes out.
Oh yeah. Good old
Yes.
Ignis. Always got the coffee.
He's just making a
and-
fresh pot every day, just waiting for the day he comes out. But like I say, I cut this game into 3 arcs. The first arc is getting to Luna Freya and getting the ring.
Yep.
The second arc is getting to the crystal,
Yep.
and the third
Mhm.
arc is getting to Arden and Ifrit.
Yep.
Which, once you get that ring working, oh,
It's pretty much a win button.
yeah.
Yeah.
Even against some bosses, it's
Well, it's got the death spell on it.
really tempting to use that ring too much though, and I hate that. Like I feel like here I am trying to fight. I'm like, oh, I'm bored. I'll just kill you.
Well, to be fair, fighting the animating tortoise, it's practically required if you're too low level.
Yeah. At least for some bosses, they like just said it doesn't work on them, so I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work
Well,
at all
yeah.
on Omega, and I'm glad about that.
They don't want to make it too easy. They still want you to fight some enemies.
Mm-hmm.
I never beat Omega.
Omega's a pain in every Final Fantasy it's put in.
Yes.
Oh God.
I'm just glad they used the original Final Fantasy V design in game.
Yeah.
Hey M.
Yes.
What's worse than using nautical terms to tell left and right?
Oh yes.
Yes,
Shut
use
up,
nautical
14.
terms.
Jesus
Hey.
Christ, that got me killed so many times.
14 stays using nautical terms.
I mean, Koji Fox at least went the extra mile and used disused nautical terms. Nobody uses Larbert anymore.
And I'm just
Yeah.
sitting there, I'm like, wait, oh no, shit, I'm opposite direction, I'm tanking. God damn it.
To be fair though,
He must be at the aft.
he
Must go to
used-
starboard.
He used Larbert because he thought people would understand that the L meant left, but we were all too caught up on trying to figure out what a Larbert is.
And then he was just like, "Man, y'all a bunch of idiots." As we get blown off.
I just remember the first time I got there, you could hear the
that's not
router
how-
noise in my brain trying to figure out what the hell he's talking about.
To be fair though, that's not how Koji Fox would have said it. He would have said it he would have said it probably in the Simpsons meme.
Yes.
But yeah, so 15 gets cut up, in my opinion, in those 3 main arcs.
Yes.
Now,
I mean, it does because that's pretty much the main arcs of the game. Because everything else in it is, you can just literally bypass and not even do it.
yeah. I mean, there's a lot that goes on in those 3 arcs, like every other good novel or game. But
Yes. But at the same time, there's either not enough or there's too much going on. Sometimes you can't really.
mhm,
This game's major problem is pacing.
yes.
Pacing was out the window, but that's due to. I'm not going to say. No, I'm just going to say it. Bad director leadership is what that
Yes.
falls to.
Yes.
It's bad director leadership. If you play anything by the director, you will see that pacing is a big issue in all of his games.
I don't like the Kingdom Hearts franchise. I can definitely tell you the pacing is one of the reasons why I don't.
hmm
The other is Sora's disgusting clown feet.
Mine, believe it or not, was because of Disney itself.
I can see that.
It was because of what they said during one interview.
Mm,
They sat there and asked, "Hey, for the Kingdom Hearts, how come none of your characters use weapons, i.e., Donald and Goofy?" And they're like, "Because we don't want weapons associated with our characters." These characters use weapons in their own show.
I mean, they've used toy weapons before, but yes, you are completely right.
They have used weapons.
Yeah.
There's so many times I have seen Pete with a sword, a spear, or something. Yeah, they're not using them. Sure. Or if they do, the character gets poked in the butt and that's it. But still, it's the fact that your characters have used weapons. And now you're trying to take this high road
Yeah.
saying
Also,
that our characters aren't associated with weapons. I was like, nope, not touching this game ever.
Yeah,
It's
but that's
cartoon
a
violence.
discussion for another time.
Yes.
Yeah. But again, I'll go back to Nomura.
Yes.
He has
is-
a big pacing issue.
I get the idea that he has so many ideas in his head and he just can't explain people how you get from point A to point D because he feels like it's so obvious. It's so obvious.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. The three major things I liked about this is the character interactions.
Yes.
The combat was okay. It could have used a lot more polishing, in my opinion, but it was not a train wreck.
Yes.
And the overall story, in a sense.
Yeah. The Swiss cheese of a story it is good.
Yes, when the plot connects and the characters react to the plot,
Yeah.
there is a solid cohesion of plot for the character to follow.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you guys a question.
Mm-hmm.
To fix this game, would you have shortened it or filled in the holes?
Well, I was just about to get to that for a second.
Okay.
Some parts that the DLC fills in, which if I remember correctly, the one with Ignis fills in what happened during the
Leviathan summoning.
Leviathan summoning when Noctis was unconscious.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good use of cut content from the main game.
Yes.
We don't need to be there during the main game, but we can go back there with the DLC.
Yes.
In my opinion, I would have done both. Cut some more of the content from the main game, but fill that in with stuff that would explain other things.
Mm.
So the game would have been the exact same length, but it would have been exchanging one part for another. Like the plot that goes nowhere with the reporter, either change that so he's like informing you of things are going on because he's a reporter. He has connections.
Okay. Just to answer my question, you have to give a definitive shorter or fill in. No, both. Because you have to make an executive decision right now.
I would cut.
Okay, so we actually have a disagreement. Because I feel cut. I think the game should have made shorter.
The reason I say fill in is because when you have that many holes,
mm-hmm.
even if you cut the content, you still have these holes that are going to be there. You still have a problem with these holes. Fill in, yes, you may extend your game by 10, 15 hours, but you're filling in these holes that people are left with what happened, what led from A to C. Like,
mm-hmm.
I'm missing B.
Yes.
Where if I cut the said content, then, okay, I'm cutting content, but I'm still leaving these holes from A to C.
Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah, I can actually, you know what? I'm with you now.
But here's the thing: now I can't give a prime example because it's been a while since I played the game, so bear with me a little bit on that.
Oh, you're good,
if
man.
you cut certain things out that are distracting from the main story, you might be able to focus more on it. You would be cutting out certain side quests that don't need to be done. Like I said, the reporter guy, you could completely cut him out, and you probably wouldn't lose anything, which gives you more focus.
You could.
But I think the real answer would have been, and you could say I'm wrong, but would be to restructure certain things. Like the reporter guy could have been used a little bit better as, like I was saying, he's a reporter. He's got to have contacts to give information to Noctis. And that would have made him a character, and that's how you could learn certain things while you're traveling.
Yeah, but they weren't really interested in that at all.
No.
I would honestly say the reporter cut him out completely. Just gut him out.
Well, or just cut him out completely because there's no point to him. That would have been one of the things.
The reason I say that because he wants pictures from you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait a minute, you're a reporter, but you want me to provide you the story. Well, if that's how this exchange is going to work, then you're not needed at all.
No.
Like even if he has contacts.
Yeah.
Honestly, even if he has contacts, his contacts are going to do you no good.
Honestly,
what is his contacts going to tell you?
If you wanted to do a picture quest like he gives you, it could just be Prompto going, hey, I've always wanted to see. And then it feels more natural for, oh, yeah, you know what, Prompto? We've never been outside the seaboard. Let's do that thing you've always wanted to see, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They could have cut him out and gave that quest to Prompto and left it there for more.
Even like you pass into town and they've got like a local photo contest. And you're like, oh, hey, win a prize.
Yeah. I'll even say they needed to cut out Gladio's whole cup noodle quest. It was pointless.
I forgot.
The perfect cup. I mean, it was funny. It was like, but I'm killing a behemoth just for some meat. Not even a big slab of meat. Just some meat for cup noodles because we needed product placement, so we kind of needed something tying in to get the player to get cup noodles.
Which is better though, the cup noodle quest or the cup noodle hat?
Blue Hat was by far the funniest.
Okay, good.
There's a
I'm
music
not, I'm
walking
not,
around with
Leave that
that. I mean,
there.
that gave me HP regeneration, so I can't knock it too much.
yeah, I'm not opposed to how this game handled its corporate sponsorship. Some of it was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, I
Or
mean,
or
I'll
so
still say Coleman Adams was everywhere
Hmm.
and
yeah, but it's
whatnot.
also so subtle that if you didn't know this is a real brand of camping equipment, you just think it's a fantasy brand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I know a lot of people who didn't know that was a real thing because some people have never camped a day in their life.
I've never camped, but I've been in the Dick's Sporting Goods, so I was like, oh, Coleman's. And then when I see
Well,
it in Final Fantasy, I'm like, really, guys, Coleman's.
well, Coleman's is a grocery company in this town, so I'm like, oh hey, Coleman's. Oh right, I forgot they do supplies for like
Well,
furniture and camping. Oh right, there's a
Yeah,
Coleman furniture store in town too.
well, I think we agree graphics wise and
Okay,
design wise, the game is solid.
graphics, character design, uh, music design. This is all fantastic Final Fantasy.
Hmm.
yeah, it's what you expect from a Final Fantasy.
Yes.
Especially the car.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, even
So,
though although Veiled in Black was by far my favorite theme in the whole game, but
oh God, Velvet Black is so good.
especially the one place where it's a duration battle, and I was just like, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, those are the solid things about the game. So those are what we would not change.
No, I would not change any of
I
that.
would
Like,
polish up the combat
yeah,
because
I
in
can
certain
see
points it felt either sluggish or
every man's in a dog pile.
yeah.
It
Prompto,
was
why are you in this dog pile?
it was too simplistic. Like
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it.
holding the button to do all the attacks. I'm like, okay, this is for all this. You might as well just have auto attack
Yeah.
Yeah,
because me holding the button is giving me that exact same
And then you
feel.
got the teleport dodge, which makes it also
yeah,
The teleport dodge doesn't bother me much, but when I have to hold a button
yep.
and
well.
I'm
No, I'm just saying
watching
in
my
conjunction with
character,
having to hold the button, and then you have pretty much an auto, almost like an auto dodge at some point.
yeah,
Yeah.
you do. You just
The
kind of hold the
combat
button and you
is
just
just
dodge.
almost brainless.
My biggest problem is the team system. Like you have to do so many attacks, you have to build the team bar so you can give a command to one of your allies. I don't mind that for some big attacks, but like Gladio,
Everything.
spin. Why does that need time for Noctis to tell him to spin?
Yeah, I mean they could have made
Yeah,
that into like a proper tag team attack, but just
They did try some tag team attacks.
mhm,
Like if you counter, one of your buddies will run going, "Hey, let me help," which I
yeah.
liked that. I
mhm.
liked that. But the whole charge a bar to have Ignis go, perhaps if we did this, or I'll throw this.
Yeah,
Like
or
Yeah,
Prompto
and
like
we
it's
had
like,
aim precise shot, and it's like, wait, why am I telling a marksman to do precise shot? Shouldn't
yeah.
the marksman already be doing precise shot?
Now the Ignis's regroup and heal one, I don't mind that being in a charge bar.
no,
That
That
feels
that needs to be a charge bar.
yeah,
yeah, that feels like something that you need time to catch your breath and go, wait, we need to pull back.
hmm
That makes sense.
and Ignis
But
would be the one to recognize that because Gladys is
yes,
going to have to one covering everybody when they do that.
yeah. But telling Gladio to spin or Prompto to precise shot.
Yeah, it's not. Those are not needed. Like
Yes, I understand that Prompto's not going to have a chance to precise shot every single time. Having it on its own separate cooldown would have made sense.
Hmm.
or just make it a percentage thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And we haven't even discussed the magic system.
Final
I
Fantasy VIII all over again.
I barely touched the magic in this
At
game.
least, unlike Final Fantasy VIII, you don't put it in the stats. You just combine the magic to make an actual spell.
And I
It's
barely
still
touched that.
just as bad.
It's
It
I'd rather
is.
just put it. I'd rather put it in my stats and boost my stats than have it
Yep.
in something I'm not going to use.
Well,
And
I've used
I
it.
didn't even do that.
I will say it's not. In my opinion, it's not as bad as eights.
No, it's not. It's because for 8 it was for everything.
Yeah, it was for everything, but it's the fact that eight at least it had more of a use than it does for
Yeah,
15.
Well,
it's not as bad, but it's so insignificant. Like I said, I didn't touch it.
well,
I
the two
didn't
major
boost my
problem
stats with
I
it.
had with it is that it was trying to make Noctis feel more special, just because he can absorb the spell or the magic from the land. I'm like,
Yeah,
this doesn't need to feel like that. There's
No.
no need for this.
Like they were trying to make a grounded Final Fantasy in a modern setting without magic, but then they shoehorned magic in. I'm like, you should have just gone the full 9 yards and made the only magic Noctis' teleport, his ring, and his summons.
Yeah, because they already defeated that purpose. But the fact that he uses magic to call his weapons
Yes.
and teleport, it's like, wait, I'm already using magic. Why do I need to draw this to use
Yeah.
magic that I'm already using?
So adding in this extra magic feels completely pointless and kind of means like nothing. It's another example of, hey, it's a good idea, but you didn't need to put it in this game.
I think in another game where you could have combined spells better, it would have worked out a little bit better.
Yes.
Like
And
making like
also,
a fiery storm of lightning kind of thing.
Yes.
yeah, like if you put all 100 points into the, say, a fireball, let that be like your fire 5.
Yes.
Mhm.
Also, thank you for using the numbers. I hate the AGA system.
Aga, see, I'm used to Aga just being all.
Yeah, it hurts my dyslexia, honestly.
Yeah, yeah,
But
Like Fire 5, I understand. Ooh, that's a bigger number. It means more.
exactly. It means it's going to be a bigger blast.
mhm.
Although I'm
But
just going to say this, can we turn Thunder back into Bolt? Bolt just sounds better for a spell.
it really does.
Thank you.
No argument here. I
Also,
like lightning anyway.
also Bolt. I'm just going to say this, Bolt AGA sounds really wrong.
Yes, it does. Oh god, that sounds terrible. Okay, but it doesn't sound any better than Thundaga.
What does
Oh,
it sound better
God,
than
no.
Water Aga?
You can't do nothing for water. Water's just boned.
Yeah, Water 4. Oh, my shirt's damp now.
Like, oh man, you got all my whole outfit wet now. Well, thanks, kid.
This
But
is dry clean only. This is the worst thing you could have done to me. I'm going home.
But yeah, I just think that if the enemies had better element weaknesses and resistances, it could have been a better system.
Yeah.
Like
It could have
imagine
been.
you bring the lightning spells when you're fighting the machines, and they have circuitry that's going to be fried, and then you combine that with say fire to deal with the humans that are surrounding it. You could do a nice 2-for-1 there.
Honestly, I think the fire should have been really good against the demons because
Well,
they
I'm
don't
just
like
using that for reference. Like you combine two spells and try
Yeah.
to do a good amount
Yeah.
of damage to both of them, rather than focusing all your magic on just the one target,
Mm.
which I thought could have been
Yeah.
an interesting concept.
I mean, they fixed that with the 7 remake, where lightning did great against machine enemies and fire did great against organic enemies.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying, imagine being able to combine those two. Maybe not get as much as you like did for all 5 in fire, but you could stun the machines and get good damage on the enemy surrounding it.
Yeah, kind of do like a 2 and 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is where the system could have shined if it had more polish to it. Or, like you said, just remove that part of the magic system and save that for another project.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it could have worked really well for another project.
that, and they really shot themselves in the foot, because if you had the certain coin, you just throw the coin in with a max fire, I mean a max spell, and then you just give yourself a hellacious XP boost off of that, on top of eating at the best restaurant and then sleeping at the best inn.
And then just riding around in the car.
Yeah, like I went from level 15, and I was like, I'm not sleeping. I'm just gonna fight.
Oh, yeah.
And when I finally went and sat down and went to bed.
Yeah.
I went from level 15 to 65.
I honestly think the experience mechanic of sleeping and then getting it is backwards. I think you should be punished for not letting your team rest properly.
Yeah, you should get a XP decrease.
Like this is not rewarding you for sleeping is good for a MMO.
Yeah.
Well,
like, you log out, you get the experience bonus back. But in a single player game, most people when they sit down for a single player game are gonna just zone in for a while. So if you drag your characters out for too long, these are characters. It's not your avatar. Noctis should be complaining like, I can't stay awake, and you should
suffer.
His HP should decrease.
Well,
so you're more encouraged to take better care of them, which would feel more in character for these guys to be like, all right, Noctis, you stop here today. You're trying too much, buddy. Let's all take a break, have some cup noodle, relax, recharge our bodies, and you wake up the next day refreshed and ready to go again.
I mean, essentially, like it was said at the start of the game, this feels like just a massive road trip, which is what it really started. It started out as. It should have.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things about road trips is the stopping and smelling the roses.
Yeah.
And while they do have this, they know that this entire trip is for a serious business. Taking it too serious is not going to help anyone.
No.
Yes, but see, that's why I said, back to my previous answer when I said expand more because now this is where the game started to suffer is the story.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's certain sections where you literally have nothing going on. No expose, no learning, no nothing. It's just drive across the lands
Yep.
just to get to a gate. Oh, let's fight some Magitech. Let's pull back. Let's fight a Magitech mech. Let's pull back. Now let's go over here. Oh, we're gonna have to go over here because we can't get around that gate. We finally realize that they're getting stuck in a 10-minute battle, and there was a path
Yeah,
down this
and
way. They have to put in so much filler, and this is where open world games do fall short.
especially with
Yes.
tracking down the Magitech bases to get the flying car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as you're sitting there going through all that, this game should have succeeded.
It really should have.
But when you have somebody at the helm, and this goes for anybody, I'm not just saying this about Nomura,
Mhm.
even Kojima has the same issue.
Oh God, does he ever?
They let something drag out too long, and you watch the product start suffering heavily behind it.
I don't think Nomura had the same problem as Kojima, but it definitely felt like Kojima saw a map of like Afghanistan. Like, I want to use this entire playground, and you're like, what are you going to fill it with? It is the
Yeah.
playground.
It's like, what is this? There's nothing here. I have too much open space. That's why if you look at games like Fallout, Skyrim, and all that, you see a plethora of mods filling that because there's nothing there.
And
And
even then, there's so many tiny little quests here and there that to try and fill that, which it feels like Skyrim and Fallout tried to fill that. They realized, oh shit, we have a lot of empty space. Let's fill it with things. They didn't succeed in it, but at least they looked at it and go, ooh, we made too
gotta
much
do
space.
something here.
Let's do something here.
To be
Yeah,
fair,
and
I would say
that-
this for
That's why I. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. That's why I think both Breath of the Wild and Sonic Frontier succeeded. They had smaller maps with things to do, and when you're done, you're done. They didn't need to feel the need to fluff it up.
yeah, I mean, even Elden Ring did a
Yes,
amazing job
yes.
of that, where you had this huge world to play with. And yes, you had empty spots, but they always made sure, hey, here's some enemies here. Just make it look like the world is breathing and moving. Hey, here's some shopkeepers out here. Here's a
Or-
person out here you can help. Or here's an item you can just go on an adventure and grab. They
Yeah.
made sure to do something. So it's going to be empty. That's going to happen. But it's filled just enough to keep you engaged.
The
Mhm.
only thing 15 got right in that is they made sure that the landscape was breathtaking in places.
Mhm.
But
Yes.
like, there were some points where you just drove to nowhere and like, wow, what a view. But that's a bonus. That can't be the only reason to go out that way.
Yeah.
And this is coming from someone who enjoys real road trips and does that shit. But the thing is, that's a road trip. That's a real road trip.
Mhm.
Because I'll be able to also go to that place and then try the local food there.
Mm-hmm.
But like I was saying, the only thing I can say about, like, say for Metal Gear Solid 3 is that
5.
yes, 5. Yeah. Is that at least with the open arena, it gives you options to work with it on how you want to approach the situation.
Yes.
Now, you could probably cut out maybe 30 to 40% of the map and still get that.
Yeah, that's about
I,
right.
I can agree to that, but I'm just saying at least you understand they were trying to give you the options of approach to a situation.
Mhm.
The approach is one thing, but when you look at, I'm just going to use the African water treatment plant mission as an example.
Mhm.
You have only two ways to attack that.
Yep.
You either go in side B or side A, and that's it.
Fair enough.
And you have other things you can do. Most people that play a Metal Gear Solid game, they're not going in with the mindset of, oh, I can call in chopper support. I can call in this support. I can call in that support. They're going at it with the traditional mindset of, I am Snake. How do I get to my target destination?
Yes.
How do I get in
And
there unseen?
seen, yeah, without killing the entire base.
Mm-hmm.
And while you do have multiple ways of traveling in this game, it still feels like you've got to take the car.
Yeah.
Well, I was
you
going to say
have
the
to
difference
take the car.
between that is that with Metal Gear, you have options of going about it for most of it. There are situations where there's, as you said, either A or
Just
B.
because you have option souls does not mean the player will remember they have
No,
options.
I'm go with a point here.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's fine. You're bringing up a point as well, and I understand that. But
Mhm.
with a game like this, where it's set up with you have this one way of combat, The only different way you're gonna have go into a situation is if it's story related and try and sneak in. Other than that, your main thing is to charge in, fight, and leave. So your open playground is really just for show, and there's not
Yes.
much to it. And my
There's
point
both it's both for show and how you've taught the players how to play the game.
Mm-hmm. But like I said, the difference is that like in Metal Gear, they're trying to go with something else. They're trying to give you options, may not have worked out that well. Here, you have the one option for combat, and that's it. So the meshing between the open world and the combat is important as well, and that's also where this
Yeah.
fell short.
Yes.
Yeah, I could definitely agree to that.
Yeah, so can I.
So I mean, but the other thing is like as we discussed earlier, how you summon the Titans or not Titans, the
Aeons.
Aeons.
Summons.
Thank you. I was going to say Eidolons, but I know that's wrong.
Astrals. Aeons is from a different game.
Yeah.
That's one of my pet peeves with Final Fantasy is that every single Final Fantasy they decide to let's call them something else, even though the player just basically wants to just call them summons.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like Final Fantasy 1 through 12, they were just summons.
Mm-hmm.
No, they were not. They were Espers in 6.
Oh yeah, Espers. They were Espers, yeah. And then
They were
7
Eidolons in 9.
That's the
9.
one I keep coming back to.
But the
was-
button says summon. So that's why I
Yes.
call it summon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
If-
even say that you're summoning the Espers or whatever the hell it is. So
Yeah, so it's still using the word summon.
8, they were GFs.
Yeah, Guardian Forces.
Thank you. I can remember what that was.
Yeah.
but basically just summons just for every Final Fantasy fan will recognize summons.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just change the name of what they are every time.
Yeah. But the mechanic behind them, I think, is kind of. I understand why they did it since it's pretty much a instant win nuke the enemy button for most of it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, it feels so convoluted in working with it.
Yes.
It does, and I will say if
Like I honestly, here's the way I would have actually fixed it: is you could summon at any point, but they're vastly weaker.
Well, you know,
should
Yeah.
do a
you know what they could have
quick-
done?
quick-
Instead of the energy bar to work with your allies, put the energy bar to summon. Like you
Yes.
have to do well in combat to work up the favor from the gods to help you out.
I like that idea. That's actually a better idea.
That is a better idea. I will concede that is a
And
much better idea.
I can stick with them being in certain areas. Like if you're in the mountains, oh, Titan's going to come help your ass. You're near the ocean, Leviathan's going to come help your ass.
Yes, but explain that to the player
But
because I went ages wondering. Okay, I've got Leviathan. I guess I just don't have. I guess Leviathan's only for story purposes. And all of a sudden, I'm just down by the beach training, and all of a sudden, Leviathan shows up. And, oh, I can't summon Leviathan.
But
Oh,
I gotta
but-
be near water.
Oh, that's lame. She's my favorite one I've got.
but
Yeah, that's the issue. They I say issue. God, I'm trying not to say a certain
Nitpick.
someone's name.
Oh,
No,
just say
Soul
it.
knows one. Are you
Okay.
sure?
go for it.
All right. I was trying to be civil here, Soul.
You think I give a shit about Civil? Have you seen me on your show?
My show is different than your show.
No, it's not.
My show is playing games and shit talking a person. But anyway. So these are the problems. Sorry, M, you're about to get an expose you don't want. But
Well, the viewers are with me.
this reminds me of a streamer named DSP. So and I
Soul.
both know him.
Mhm.
Well, his talk
I
is
told him
many
about
times.
him.
Oh, okay. DSP is the type of player this game would not work because it is not telling him these requirements. Now it takes players to just go out there, experiment, and if I'm near mountains, I can get a Titan Buster. If I'm
Yes.
near the ocean, I can get a tidal wave. If a battle goes on way longer than it should because I'm really not up to snuff and I'm popping, potions every 5 seconds, Ramu shows up and is like, look, I'm gonna just take care of this shit for you because clearly you're not here for this.
Yeah.
And Shiva's just Shiva. She's just like,
Yeah.
hey boys, I'm here to have fun. Done. And in a game like Final Fantasy, I expect them to give you a slight exposition on how it works.
Yes.
Hmm.
Because
they're big into the lore, they're big into their explanations of the world. So all of a sudden, to them just to take that away from you is very jarring.
yes, and I have a good way they could have brought that in.
Mhm.
It could have been a fable.
Yes.
Gladio's book reading one of the fables.
that would have been really touching if he's in the background just say, according to this, since we're heading towards the lightning summon, I decided to read up on him. And he's known to be very impatient.
Yeah, and that would be
Oh,
perfect. Perfect. That way, you've told the player this is how you get this particular one to aid you.
yeah. Titan only shows up when someone is in dire straits standing alone with wounded friends.
Yeah,
Better worded than that, obviously. That's just
yeah,
off the top of my
And
head.
Shiva is
yeah,
just mysterious.
She's mysterious, yeah.
yeah, mysterious.
And
You know,
Leviathan only protects her seas.
yeah, like,
There,
oh,
done.
it's fabled that certain people have granted favor at the
Yeah,
ocean.
yeah,
Which may have solved the issue of not needing the energy bar to fill up to summon them.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or make it fill up faster.
Or
yeah,
just have a different summon that they can use for the energy bar thing. That way,
Yeah.
at least they have a consistent summon to use.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, and the reason I say I have a problem with them being a nuke button is when you have something that is a constant nuke,
Yes.
you are now making it so the player is like, I want this to happen now. You're
You're,
pushing the player in the direction of, I want these to take care of my battles for me.
Like I
yeah,
said, the problem with Ramu is, I'll just stall the battle until Ramu shows up.
yeah,
Yeah, what you said in the very beginning. And this was an issue of they really did not think that all the way
yeah,
through. And it might have been because they didn't have time for it, or hey, it could have just been one of the things that just literally fell through the
yeah.
cracks.
It really feels like they ate their cake, but then still wanted it.
Yeah.
Which that's the actual the way that saying goes, because you've already eaten your cake if you have it.
Yeah, this feels like
Yeah.
to me like one of the things that fell through the cracks to me.
That's why I was saying, like, it feels like either they ran out of time or it fell through the cracks.
Yeah.
And they,
Let's just face it. You could drive through a Regalia through some of these cracks.
Yeah.
yeah, you could. When you look at this game and other games like it, because there's plenty of them,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of times they fall in the same issues.
Yes.
And you would think that companies would learn from the mistakes of either
They
their predecessors or their competition.
they always learn the wrong mistakes though, which is, we can't innovate then.
Yeah, this one,
Yeah,
it feels to me like this kind of game falls into one or two categories
Mm,
commonly. Either the story's great and the combat sucks,
mm,
or the combat sucks, but the story's great. Rarely does it ever come together for both of them.
yeah.
yeah. I think you
So,
said that backwards, though. I think you meant to say no.
yeah, I
You
think.
said yeah,
And, but here's the thing. What I really think for F-15 needed more than anything else is for the director to step back and let another director look at his work. From what I
yeah,
understand about Nomura, he's very protective of his work, and that's one of the reasons why we all love Yoshi P so much. Is he's willing to look at his work and then step back and go, okay, somebody else fact check for this for me, please.
yeah. That's why 14 is
Doing so
thriving
well.
as it is.
That's
Like,
why that's why Endwalker took an additional week, 2 weeks to come out
Not only
because
that,
he.
was that also written by the woman that did the Dark Knight storyline?
Yes, she took over from
yes,
Shepard, but he's the producer. He's in charge of pretty much everything.
Well, no, I'm just saying
But
he
he,
realized that she had
yeah,
good writing
yeah,
skills and gave her a chance, and look how
yeah.
well
it
that
We all
turned
worked
out.
out.
Yeah, we appreciate that. But my point is he's never he has his nose to the grind, but he also realizes sometimes I need to step back. I'm too invested. Let somebody else double check this. So he has his departments change roles every now and then so they can go, oh, that's what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's going to make my job harder because
Yeah,
and I don't think 15 had the communication between the departments enough.
no, that's what I was saying in the very beginning. He watched a stage play and scrapped the original idea of
Mm-hmm.
this game,
Yeah, you're right.
and then
He
scrapped that idea, and they had to try to piece the original thing back together, and it just did not work.
Which
yeah.
also consider this how long that happened for over so much extra time, and who came in and who left because of this nonsense.
hmm I
Like,
Yeah.
mean, we all love Kojima, and he's also guilty of being the sole voice of his work too long.
Whoa, 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 whoa! I don't love Kojima.
Okay, well that's fair. But that's one of his problems is that he is the sole voice of his work. He rarely lets someone else fact check
Mhm.
for him or double check stuff, and he really
Yeah,
needs that time. That being said, though, he's very good at making his games. It's just his biggest problem is there's no one to go like, slow down there, buddy, or why'd you go that direction?
at least with
yeah,
Kojima, it felt like one solid direction instead
Yes,
of
this game feels like there's no solid direction because
no.
the director couldn't keep his eyes on the prize.
Yeah, like I mean, I'll even say it. I don't like Death Stranding, but it was still solid in its direction. You knew what was going on.
Yeah, and this
This
game really,
game, you don't.
yeah. When you do know what's going on in this game, you're enjoying yourself. It's so tantalizing, and then it just goes hard left.
In fact, that's kind of where the DLC really shines, is because they have solid direction for what they're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
they're just.
short, and that's
I,
kind of where my argument for cutting things comes into play, because the DLC is short, concise, and works. It tells
calling them
the.
calling them episodes is perfect. They
Mhm.
are a
Yeah.
concise themed episode.
Only reason I don't agree with it, and it's because of the PlayStation 3 game Asura's Wrath or Azura's
Oh,
Wrath.
yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
That's
But,
different. That's
but it
that's
was
very
still
different.
it still fell into the same thing where
You are very right about that,
they
though.
didn't finish the game, but then they sold you DLC to finish the game.
Right.
I already paid my 60 for the game,
I agree to
Mhm.
and
that.
you're giving me an unfinished product. And
Yeah.
sadly, that is the same thing this fell into.
Yeah,
You
DLC
couldn't
should.
give me everything in the game,
Yeah,
so you've now sold me.
yeah. DLC is not a fix the game; it's a garnish to the game.
Yeah,
And
it's
when
supposed
these,
to add on to the game.
Which
yeah,
is why
that's
I
why
always say my favorite DLC for any game is the Citadel for Mass Effect 3.
I know.
Yeah,
You would marry that DLC if you could.
Damn right. I'll get the ring right now.
because it did it right.
Yeah,
Because
and
people were like, we didn't have enough. We never had anything to do with our team members outside of combat
yeah,
and normal things. They're like, well, you know what? We heard you, and because we felt like we messed up, here you go.
that's why I think episode Ardent was the best because it wasn't part of the story.
Yeah, like
It was a garnished
perfect.
prequel.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it was
We-
perfect.
We don't need this to fill in the gaps. But my God, is it good? That's how
Mhm.
DLC should be handled. Like, yes, you can use DLC to fix something in a game. Like they use the DLC to give us control of the party members. That's a nice idea. That's a bonus. We didn't need that. But it's much better now that we do.
This game really shows off, and this is going to be more of a side tangent, I guess, is that DLC comes in a variety of forms. Because there's also free DLC for different outfits you can get, like starter weapons, a fishing set, the episodes, which are the paid DLC.
Yeah.
And for a while, the multiplayer was a DLC for this until it got its own separate game.
Yes,
That-
I have it. Mine is connected to my game
That is also free as well.
and still active, surprisingly.
It's not
Really?
that bad.
Yeah,
I
it's
couldn't-
still active. I've been playing it on
I-
PC.
I couldn't get into it, but I'm glad it's still active. Because it's one of the worst things is when a multiplayer mode that's beloved just dies randomly. I mean, it's bound to happen, but at least let the people know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But the DLC, as Em was saying, should be meaningful to the game. Can sometimes fill in certain parts of the game that are not important for the main game, but needs to kind of be its own story at the same time.
Yeah. The way I like to use food metaphors a lot because most people I've met tend to enjoy food.
very
But-
enjoyable.
It kind of helps
My-
survival.
My opinion is a game is like a sundae, and good DLC is additional cherries. You don't need them, do you?
No,
But having an extra cherry sounds nice.
like
think-
Reese's for me.
I think
No, that's fair. Like
Yeah.
whatever you want to put on top of your sundae. That,
Well, I'm just saying, like 2 Reese's is great, but when you get the King pack and you get 4, it's amazing.
there you go. I don't like Reese's. I like cherries on my sundae. So, but the metaphor works regardless. You have
Yeah.
a nice sundae, and then someone comes by with a box of whatever you want to put on top of it, nuts, some chocolate syrup, and you go, "Yes, I will pay $5 for that." Just to make it better.
I think one of the more open to interpretation for that would be Ignis's DLC. Because
Yes. It's both canon and not canon too, apparently.
my point is that you kind of already got the inclination of what happened in the main game. You don't really have to explain it.
No.
But
that's
if you want to
agreed.
if you want to know what did happen, well, here's the story, but it's not vital to the overall game.
Mhm.
But it adds in.
And they gave you a non-canon option in that DLC too, which I like.
Yeah, that gives you a choice. Like you already know how it actually turns out, but hey, what if this played out?
But what about if?
Like that's what I kind of appreciate with Gladios because Gladio it kind of covers when he broke away.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, well, what happened to him? Like, I remember when I played and, everybody links back up. Yay. I was like, yo, what was he doing? And then here we go, episode Gladio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It
Give
covers
you,
what's not needed in the main game,
It
but
just
it's
wasn't
still
really
interesting content and
amazing.
it connects to everything.
Yes.
yeah.
Like I said, though, it just wasn't very super amazing.
No, it wasn't super amazing. It was just, though, giving you, hey, for those who wanted to know what happened between
Yeah.
this point and this point, here you go.
So, I mean, even Prompto's episode was, well, decent.
It
I
was
mean,
all
it's
right.
more
It was Metal
survival
Gear
than
Solid.
anything, but
Yeah, it was them trying to make Metal Gear Solid. They didn't
Yeah,
do a
that's all that was.
it
great
was
job.
still,
They didn't.
it's like, hey, this is what happened to Prompto while he wasn't with the group. Not vital to the
Yeah.
main story of Noctis, but interesting in its own right. And if you
Yeah.
enjoyed it, feel free to enjoy it. I'm not going to stop you.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's one thing about this podcast. If you like something, even if we see it flawed, please keep enjoying it. Never let someone take that from you.
I say that all the time, even in my own when I do my own stream. I could say, just for example, I could say this game sucks, worst Final Fantasy I ever played, but I will still turn around and say, but if you enjoy it, please keep enjoying it. Don't let my viewpoint
Yeah.
spoil your viewpoint.
The only
There's absolutely nothing worse than you having an opinion and then someone yelling at you that you're wrong for your opinion about something.
the only opinion I never want to hear is that I don't like it without ever having to try it. That is the only opinion I can't really go with. Like, if you give me a reason, oh, I'm not interested in it, or I didn't like this about it, or it's just not appealing to me, I can kind of understand if you at least tried it. If you just say, I don't like it without ever having tried it, I can't go with that argument.
I used to be like that, but more games I've played, it gave me pretty much the baseline of I know, say, a particular game I'm not gonna like, regardless.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you're just going to, well, with that though, you can say you're not interested in it, which is a better argument to me than just saying I don't like it without having tried it. If you're saying it doesn't appeal to me, it's a much more understandable argument to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for example, I don't like Call of Duty because I don't like modern shooters. Like shooters set in modern setting that are trying to be realistic. That does not appeal to me. I don't want that kind of stuff. I want to be away from that side of the world.
Right, and that's the kind of argument
Yeah.
I can understand. I can
Yeah.
verify. I can agree with. I can understand it.
That's
But
why I liked the one that was in space, was Advanced Warfare Fighter or whatever.
yeah, Advanced Warfare.
Yeah, like that one. I mean, people didn't like it, but I was like, yo, I'm in space.
I like
I'm in
Black Ops 3 where you got
space.
cybernetics and shit.
Dude, that was Terminator. That was Terminator in COD form.
That actually sounds better, but that's not what's ever advertised for me. It's always the realistic stuff that's advertised to me.
I mean, that's how they always try to announce that. And I'll be the first to tell you, it's an arcade shooter.
Yeah.
Yeah, lean into that, please.
Yeah.
But just to simply say I don't like it without saying it doesn't appeal to me or some other reason, it's harder for me to get behind that understanding.
Yeah,
So
I mean, easily say it's not my type of game.
Yeah, and that I can understand because there are games out there that are my type. Like M likes the Mega Man Network games,
Yeah, they were fun.
and
I don't
Never
like
played them.
Yeah, they're different.
I can appreciate them. I just really can't get behind them.
I don't
Yeah.
know, but everyone too.
Exactly. So I'm just saying, like, it's not the notion that someone's not interested in it. It's how they express the argument is what really points it to me.
Yeah.
Pretty much not the guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just read it online and it's shit.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, at least look at a video.
Yeah.
I mean, you're allowed to share an opinion with a critic, but don't let the critic decide everything for you.
Now, if you say, "Oh, I
Yeah.
saw a video of that game and play and it doesn't appeal to me," fine,
That's
I can
different.
understand that something
Yeah,
doesn't
at
appeal
least-
to you. It's
at
like a
least
movie
you've
or
seen it.
something like that. Yes.
Yeah.
You have more information to share with me to discuss your reasoning behind just I don't like it and move on. That doesn't express
Yeah.
anything to me.
Yeah, I had to tell my viewers, I don't really care for the story of the new God of War. I really don't like it. But hey, enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just I don't have to like it, but you can. I've been told to my face because I liked Gundam Crossfire. I'm part of the problem.
What?
Like, why? Because I like the game. I like Gundams, and I like a game that has them in it. And yes, it's a tech demo. And does it suck? Yes, but I still enjoy the game.
Yeah, you know what? You enjoy that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that was the
Yeah,
one I tried to get to. I couldn't, but I think that was only because it was just not my type of gameplay.
Yeah, that's fair.
It's not. They were trying to make a Gundam game, like I said, tech demo, and then make it technical on top like an Armored Core
Oh man,
simulator. They were trying to make it like a simulator, and it just didn't work out with what they had.
Yeah. I think
no.
I
I
played the
think if they
demo
did
for
it
that.
now,
It
it'd be
just
fine.
I couldn't.
Mhm.
The controls just felt off to me.
Yeah, that and too many people are used to Gundam being a high octane
Well,
combat game.
because that's how the
It,
anime usually moves.
yeah, that's how
So
the anime moves, unless you watch Await MS Team, which is more like a real situation. If
yes, but
these machines were real, but that's an off tail. Nobody's gonna pay attention to that 9 times out of 10. Gonna look
even
at
though
the
even though more people should watch that series.
yes, they should. It's an amazing series. I
Mhm.
suggest anyone to watch it. But
Okay. We are really going down the tangent rabbit hole
It's
right now,
imagine what
oh,
but
yeah,
DLC talk did to this.
I know, right? But no, I think this game could have used a little bit more time in the oven. They needed to iron out some more important points.
yeah, the most
Certain. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, the oven it was okay, it was in the oven too long, but it was set to way low of a temperature. If that makes any sense to you.
Actually, that does. That makes better
Yeah, I
sense.
can understand that, but I think if it,
And what also really needed is they needed another cook to walk in and go, "Hey, Namora, how's it going? Why is things on fire?"
Or why do I see black smoke coming from the oven?
Oh, that isn't smoke. That's the plot developing.
I think
That's
it's developed.
I don't think that's a good sign.
yeah, this game
Yeah,
either needed maybe another year to kind of focus things down.
Okay, what I think this game needed is one less year in development and one more year on the whiteboard.
Yeah, that really
that's
sounds
definitely better.
that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah,
That is
because
actually the perfect way to put that. I could not come up with. Thank you, Em.
yeah, Nomura just got too quickly into development when it was still for Final Fantasy 13, and he never stopped developing it for Final Fantasy 13, and it became 15, which is not a good sign.
No, it is. I
Because
think at the point it became 15, in my honest opinion, it either should have taken continue from 13 and just kept with that, or
okay, well, maybe when it became 15, it should have been taken away from Nomura so he could work on other
well,
projects.
that's what I was saying. It should have been either Nomura should have kept on 13, and this should became its own thing, or drop 13 and just rework to 15 and not worry about connecting with 13 at all.
That's kind of what they did, but
Yeah, they
Yeah,
already
well,
axed it from 13,
they
but
kept Nomura on it, even though he was so invested as it versus 13. What I'm saying is, as soon as they decided, heads up, said, no, this is 15, Nomura should have been like, okay, here you go, director. Here are my notes on it. If you need me, I'll be in the other room working on Kingdom Hearts. Please call me if you need help.
and this is why I still have an issue. I have an issue with Nomura because now they've put him at the head of a lot of their Final Fantasy titles.
Yeah,
And just let's look at 7. Yeah, like I said, again, I like it, but you took a 3-hour section and turned it into a 40-hour game.
yeah. This is why I'm a little bit worried about Yoshi P handling 14 and 16, but he seems like he's managing a time with both. We'll find out how that goes when Final Fantasy 16 comes out. If it does well, which I'd be more surprised if it didn't, I can see him taking on more roles, but I don't want him to handle everything
yeah.
for Square
To be
Enix.
fair, Yoshi
Let
also
Yeah,
has a competent work crew.
Yes, he's also one of the
he
few
does.
developers who has to tell his people to go home and sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, hell, you think this is going, oh man, we're really going down rabbit holes, but
Yeah,
when 14 was being developed, Yoshi was called into the president's office to look at the game. And the president asked him, he said, what do you think? And Yoshi told him, it's going to fail.
hmm
Told him, and mind you, he had placed him in control of 11 at that time. So he was
yeah,
working on Final Fantasy 11.
yeah, and Dragon Quest 10.
10, yeah. And the president was like, oh, I think you're wrong. Well, then when the game comes out and it completely flops, the president walks in there and fires everyone but 2 people that worked on the music. And it's like, no, fire yourself too. Because you were already told this was going to fail.
Yep,
And you decided to proceed with this game.
yes. At least he went around and went to Yoshi going, okay, you were right. How would you fix this problem?
Yeah.
Nuke it.
And Yoshi's
Just
been
nuke
in the
the
helm
entire
ever
land.
since.
I just like
And
his solution was to, you can't. Here, I'm going to clean the room out with this flamethrower.
yeah, and that's what he did. But see, what Yoshi was smart about was he turned around and put other people that were competent to
Yep,
take control of Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy 11.
yep.
Mm-hmm. Final Fantasy 11's
And
even still going strong.
oh
It's
yeah,
doing,
they just
it,
released a DLC like not I think I want to say
yeah.
the end of last year or the beginning of this year.
If I could get past the clunky controls, I would be playing it.
I played it for almost 8 years. and I played 14 longer.
Played
I hear
11 for about 4 years, and I've been playing 14 since it came on the PS3.
I
I'm
couldn't play. I couldn't play 11 when it first came out. I didn't have a computer powerful enough, and I also didn't have internet powerful enough.
yeah, I got the all the add-ons for the PS2 to play 11, and then I
Same.
got it for my PC because it was funny. They didn't shut it down for the PS2 until PS4 Pro came out.
I heard about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was running strong.
Yeah, I think they actually said the reason why they shut it down was for security reasons.
Yeah,
I can
because
see
they
that.
stopped doing any hardware for the PS2, so it's like, why is this still here?
Yeah, the
You know,
PS2 had already been
It's the
wide
same
open,
reason why they
cracked
shut
open.
down Final Fantasy 14 on the PS3.
Because the PS3 also has
yeah,
been cracked open too.
yep,
So,
The 4 has been well, but not to as easy.
not to those extents.
No.
But
But anyway,
yeah,
Ice, this
back
is
on topic.
Ice, this is fantastic having you here. It was really nice to have another opinion.
Thank you. I appreciate both of you having me. I'm sorry if I overstepped myself in
oh,
any
not
way.
at all. Not at all.
Here's the thing: if you had overstepped yourself, I wouldn't be asking, "Can you come back for an episode?"
Plus, like I
Hey,
said in the very first episode, I have 4 rules for this show, and I always want to give someone a second chance. And none of these 4 rules did you ever step on. So,
I try not to. I try to remember my place, and I'm a guest, not the host.
Yes. So, where can people find you? Out of curiosity's sake.
Well, if they really want to find me and watch some of my droll content, you can find me on YouTube at Ice Yamamoto, YouTube/YouTube, and you can find me on Twitch, is where I do all my gameplay. Which you can get to that from my YouTube page, Ice Yamamoto/Twitch TV.
or just do what I do:
And
spend 20 minutes with Twitch, try to have figure out how to spell Yamamoto.
yeah, it's Yamamoto.
Well, that might be part of the problem.
Yamamoto.
Okay, Ice. I just want to say this. Thank you for also understanding how it is listening to this other guy mispronounce words.
Put it this way, so when I stream games, I'll just go ahead and say it now. I have usually a quote unquote panel. Soul has been on there plenty of times, and most people butcher my last name on here, so I'm used to it. Like, there's one person, even though I've told them how to say my name, they still call me Yamato, and I'm just like, whatever at this point.
You're not the space battleship, though.
I know.
See,
Although
Evan's a reference too. He just met you.
Yeah,
because I enjoy good anime.
I want to get
same here. Oh,
You know
we
what?
were just
If I ever get a chance to sit down and actually watch an anime, we'll do an episode on that.
on Spaceship Yamato,
Yes.
Which version? Are we doing the original 80s?
original or the new one?
Depends on
'Cause
which
I
one I can
reckon-
find.
Well, you can find the new one much easier, which I like the new one a lot.
The new one they did. I haven't watched it. I've watched the original, but they still did a good job on it from the cutscenes I've seen. Well, I say cutscenes, but the videos I've
Well,
seen.
it'll give me something else to watch at work when I'm cleaning. So,
Plus, they also did put them in Super Robot Wars, which
Yes, they did. Although they really emphasized the chick's butt when she goes to sit down and talk to the main character. Like, really, guys?
well, I don't have an ending selection for this episode because we're going to do something special next time with them, which I'm saving as a special surprise.
Surprise!
Usually, I have an indicator of some what would be next episode about, but I'm saving that for a surprise for this one. So,
sounds fun.
I would just like to thank you for listening. I would like to thank Ice for being on the show.
Thank you. Hope to come by again sometime.
We'll definitely
always
have
up for
plans
these
to have
good
you on next time.
conversations.
Oh, you're more than welcome to come back. We'll discuss with you what next episode we'll do.
Okay.
But from the way we ramble, it definitely feels like it might be in the Metal Gear series.
But
well, like I said, I know Final Fantasy, Metal Gear. I do not know Kingdom Hearts because I don't play it. I know the main points. That's about it. I don't know Dragon Quest at all, so I'll be lost in the sauce. Besides, to me, it just looks like Dragon Ball.
Well, it was pretty much it was from the same creators.
That's true. I still need to play Chrono Trigger.
Yeah,
that Soul so graciously gifted me.
Ass.
I know I need to. I got it. Believe it or not, I have it installed. So
at least you have that for long.
Yeah, it's in my computer, ready to play.
Because I'll tell you what, if you start playing Chrono Trigger and M's available for to come on, we should both walk you through that game.
I mean, if M wants to be on board the panel when I play, that's completely fine with me.
Because
I
between the two of us, I think we know just about every lore and storyboard on that.
Ooh, you
So,
have the space battleship as your background. Oh, that definitely gets a follow.
oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, my whole show is usually themed around mechs and ships because they go hand in hand to me because I'm a Gundam fan. So that's
I
how I
mean,
always try to do that. But
yes,
I will tell you, we do talk about the guy. So just letting you
He
know,
does pop a lot, but
that's fair. My
that's why I
only
do say though, I do. That's why you'll always hear me say, and my guys jump on me for it. I'm like, I do shit content because of that. I say that right out.
but that's more focused. That's a lot more focused on your YouTube
all right.
channel.
Yeah, that's my YouTube side. So if you do watch alongs and whatnot, that's where you'll hear it the most. Although we did do Chrono Trigger last time.
Mhm.
But if you have a particular game you've played and the guy has played, we can all sit and go over it, and you can tell me things I may not know about it if I haven't played it.
Well, my repertoire is more for Zelda, Sonic, Mega
Oh,
Man.
that's fine. Yo, we should rewatch Legend of Zelda 2 and hear what he
Oh
has to say.
God.
Oh
Oh.
god.
Oh.
Okay,
Oh.
before we just get lost in this storm,
Yeah,
thank
that's
you
for
all for
after
joining
hours.
us.
Thank you very much. I think I should close
Thank
this now
you.
before I just fall to the floor in pain of that remembrance.
Dude, I know that one night, that blue night. Oh my god.
We'll tell you about that in a moment, Em. But good night,
All right.
everybody.
Good night,
Well,
everybody.